Proud Boy vaccine.
You are listening to Infinite
regret
Plane Radio. Stick around for live call-in shows. Stay for the music and recent replays. Join us at infiniteplane.live for 24/7 live chat with other listeners.
I mean, we're all going to die someday. And if you're going to pick some place to die, then why not Mars? Okay. You know, if we're born on Earth, why not die on Mars? Seems like maybe it'd be kind of exciting. But so I think given the choice of dying on Earth or dying on Mars, I'd say, yeah, sure, I'll die on Mars.
Father, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come. Give us each our daily bread and forgive us our sins. For we ourselves forgive everyone who is indebted to us. And lead us not into temptation.
Now, when he says, will you save us from our sins? Take us to a place where we can begin our new colony on Mars. He's talking about our emissions, our abuse of the earth. Those are your sins. Your children, those are your sins. Are you breeding? Are you consuming? Are you breathing? Those are all sins. And really the only way to expiate that guilt is to get your ass to Mars. Stop polluting here. And incidentally, Mars, actually this is kind of a paradox. Mars needs greenhouse emissions. They've even talked about bringing cows to Mars just to help build up an atmosphere. All right, let's see. We're joined here. It's Infinite Plane Sunday, January the 29th, 2022. We want to have every Sunday Infinite Plane. Oh, damn, it is Saturday. Damn, I'm so Mandela affected. How did that happen? You know what happened? I know what happened. I was planning on the Sunday, and then I pushed it forward and I didn't update the thumbnail. Anyway, no big deal. I don't want to confuse anybody. Let me go ahead and revise the title. Infinite Plane Saturday. Sorry for the confusion. And see, I can admit, hey, I'm wrong. I made an error. If I was a Mandela affectee, I would say, you guys are screwed up. It's Sunday. The entire world is wrong. The universe shifted. CERN did it. Has nothing to do with me. Okay, so happy Saturday. Happy Infinite Plane Saturday. This is fine. We might even do Sunday still. I did want to get on today for a very specific reason. It's because Crater Earth USA was kicked off. He got the strike, and I was thinking, let's get him on. Make up for lost time. All right, see, Kevin Mooring says we can't go to the moon, but we can go to Mars. That's what Candace Owen said, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. Was Candace Owen tweeted some anti-moon landing stuff, or rather some moon landing hoax, conspiracy theory conjecture. And here we go. Now the news media is going after Candace Owens for being a conspiracy theorist. And really, denying the moon landing is actually very much tantamount to being a flat earther. It's that bad, even though they haven't quite bridged that gap yet, because you have a lot of mainstream conspiracy theorists who deny the moon landing. But they deny it because they say that we have more advanced technology or something. They deny it for different reasons. The conspiracy theorists that are more mainstream, they don't doubt the existence of space. They don't even doubt that the moon is what we're told that it is, and the distance that we're told that it is. Venus E, Rourke 66, Osher, Mary Smith, Jenna Lovecraft Reeves, snowed on the East Coast. Yeah, I saw that worst blizzard in, I think, forever. We had a blizzard here. It lasted from about the time I got out of my car till I got into the door of the grocery store. That's about it. That was our winter. All right, so let's go ahead. Oh, here's the thing. The standard of evidence needed to debunk the moon landing is more than enough that you would need to question whether the Earth is as they say. Forget shape, but the amount of land. There are some other maybe the size is a little bit off from what we're told. I mean, I'm just suggesting here that they give you room for doubt when they supply crappy cartoons and CGI, obviously fake stuff. What are they hiding? You know, one of the greatest debunks of the space station is the shadow that the ISS has. And I think I have a video here of what appears to be a manta ray in space, some kind of a fish, which makes sense if you think that the space station might actually be underwater. But I'll bring this up. I'll see if I can find that clip here. I avoided it the other day because you have these people, and these are mainstream conspiracy theorists, who will watch ISS footage all day long, and they will find the glitches that we note to be glitches, and they'll say, oh, it's aliens. So they default to the fantastical. But belief in aliens is not considered to be fantastical, it's considered to be scientific today. It's kind of like the replacement for angels. Also, by the way, China does confirm it's joining Russia to build a commie moon base by 2035. And again, the bricks will be made from the blood, the donated blood. Donated under duress, I don't know, but there's going to be a lot of blood spilled on the moon. Look at Astrocrete. Astrocrete. Regolith and blood and other body fluids all mixed up into bricks to be used to build lunar infrastructure. Octopuses are aliens from outer space, claims wild scientific paper. You know, I kind of glossed over this last week, but the thing is, this is kind of noteworthy, I think, considering early in the year 2021, Musk had sent some baby squids into space. And now we have scientists telling us that octopuses are aliens from space. And the entire Lovecraftian mythos is based on these extremely intelligent squid-like beings from outer space, which apparently is they either arrived on a comet that broke up in the atmosphere and it brought us our oceans, or space is water. It's also a theme that I've noted in The Watchmen, where you have little squids falling from the sky. And when I was interviewing an individual on dark matter, I think his name is, well, he goes by photographer to the extraterrestrials or something. He claims he's in touch with aliens and that they drop little objects from space that look like shrimp, mixed like real like alien shrimp from space in his backyard. He photographs this stuff and he says, "Yeah, the aliens are dropping signs for me." I mean, anyway, it's a reoccurring theme: squids, octopuses in space. And I think we got here because someone had suggested that space was water. Okay, so anyway, I'm going down this route because I saw this post just recently where someone had spotted, here it is, something like a large bird flew by the ISS. Now I'm looking at this video and it looks more like an aquatic thing than a bird, which would make sense because the space station, if anything's underwater, it's not going to be anywhere where birds could go by. I mean, if you haven't noticed it, the spacewalks are filmed in a pool. The lighting gives it away if you ask me. Okay, so here we go. This is from Mr. MBB333, 515,000 subs, and he doesn't get censored for dangerous misinformation with this kind of stuff. Because you can talk about this. It doesn't have a Wikipedia entry below that says aliens are fake. You have a tinfoil hat and you're an idiot if you believe in aliens, and you're probably going to die because you're not going to get vaxxed. Like, they don't excoriate you for your beliefs if you're pro-alien. But if you have the word flat in your headline here, it says, caution, flat earth video, deadly. Deadly memes ahead. Anyway, let's listen to Mr. BB333 talking about this bird by the space station.
Gas ejections come off of the surface of the sun all the time, pretty much on a daily basis, and they don't look like they're of intelligent origins, and they look more natural, like a big plume or a cloud coming off of the surface of the sun, to where this object here, whatever it may be, does look like it's a possible intelligent origins. This next...
Okay, now here's the one from the ISS. And oftentimes you'll see bubbles from the swimming pool. and they'll say those are spherical UFOs. Okay, 12/15/2021.
It's from December 15th of 2021. Watch over here from the upper right coming down to the lower left. It's difficult to tell how close it is. I'm sure it's a pretty good ways away. When I first saw it, I just noticed the white light. When I took a closer look at it, like we're going to do now, I zoom in, I slow down, and I'm going to leave this entirely up
So if you're looking at the screen, there's a bird. That's a bird or a fish.
to you.
I don't know.
What do
It
you
looks like
see? I've had other people look.
at first I had thought maybe it was a manta ray or a fish, but now that I think about it, the speed it's moving, it's going to have to be, yeah, some kind of a fish. There's no flapping here. I was mixing that up with the other thing you saw in front of the sun. But anyway, in slow motion, you see what appears to be a bird or a fish or some kind of thing, but on closer inspection, it's kind of fishy.
Space station video footage shared by Max B. Once again, this
God,
is
it almost looks like a penguin. Like it's propelling itself somehow. That's why I had thought manta ray. It's too fast. Not quite sure. Space birds are still really real to me, damn it, says Jordan. It's not a water bubble. That thing's flapping. By the way, if you just got here, it is Infinite Plane Saturday. Ignore the thumbnail. I got mandoozled. I've been so immersed in this Mandela effect debunking that it's just screwed up my sense of reality. Check this one out, actually. Mandela effect hoax exposed. Dolly never wore braces. So here you're looking at the screen, there's Dolly not wearing braces. So I got to thinking about this one. The way this one works is they show you a clip and they ask you if you remember that she had braces. Well, the way that the clip plays out, a guy with a big metal thing in his mouth, I think Jaws is his name, he smiles, and this nerdy girl smiles, and it would be very consistent with the scene if they both had braces, and it would explain why they had this instant connection. So it looks like it. It just seems like it would fit, but it's not necessarily part of the story, and I don't think that that one clip is enough to say that she had braces and that the Mandela effect changed it if you're not going to see evidence of her having formerly had braces in all the other scenes. Like, why do they only give you that clip? I've been saying the same thing with the peanut butter thing. They say it's Jif, and it used to be Jiffy. Well, why only Jif or Jiffy? How come there's not 10 different variations? So here we are looking at this thing, did Dolly have braces? And I'm taking a hard look at the Mandela effect. And this is all in response to a challenge by Brian Stavely from Dose of Reality, who challenged everyone who's a denialist, a realist.
I'm misleading a huge amount of people in the truth community, and you are not doing nothing about it. The Mandela effect's a psyop.
Okay, that would be Brian Stavely. And yes, he said that if you're a denier, you're a liar. So if you don't believe that your peanut butter label changed, you're a liar. And that's a slander. So the Mandela effect is either a supernatural occurrence or it's the result of a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding about what constitutes evidence for extraordinary claims. So the Mandoozled will make their claim this is a change in reality, and they leave it to you to prove it to yourself. They never actually provide you evidence. They just leave one clip. So in this case, they give you a clip of Dolly, and they say she used to have braces in the 1979 film Moonraker. But they only show you this one that might be ambiguous, and it's hotly debated, and a lot of people assume the debate is legitimate. And I'm suggesting it's not. It's a false choice. And I think all of this is based on interrogator bias. That is, the questioner presenting the false choice. His bias, his selection of only two options. Either she had braces or she didn't. I remember that Dolly had meth teeth. How come that doesn't count? How come that's not a possibility? No, it's one or the other. It's one or the other because the interrogator says. Interrogator bias sets the parameters for the response. And the response created under duress or under pressure or on the fly could easily result in somebody recalling as best as they could, and then out of that recollection, remembering that recollection, or treating it as a memory itself, a foggy memory. But since it's either or, they flip a coin, they go with it, they make their decision, bias confirmation cements it as a reality to them. I think it's very, very simple to explain away. Mary Smith said, I didn't realize people are so aggressive about the theory. Yeah, it is kind of interesting where they figured out this thing and they're mad that not everyone agrees with them or believes them. It's not about believing, though. If they just believed you without evidence, then what does that make them? I mean, really, it doesn't, I don't understand how that's like an enlightening thing. And if they didn't notice it, then they didn't make the reality shift with you, then you can't expect them to have seen it. They didn't get the upgrade, they didn't level up, or whatever that means. I mean, I'd like to think that the Mandela effect are a breakaway civilization, a breakaway, we'll say, like in the multiverse, it's splitting and they're going to a better version. And so I keep looking to see, are they manifesting better versions of themselves? And it doesn't seem to be the case. But anyway, yes, there is an element here of aggression, and I think it's a very strong us versus them component. The people who don't believe that Dolly had braces, even though most of them weren't even born when the movie was out, are somehow worthy of being outgrouped as zombies, NPCs. One of the things that Stavely has put forth is that the people who don't advance the Mandela effect as a fact are no better than people who just believe the news about 9/11 or even anything else really. So seeing through fake news is nothing. Seeing through the globe is nothing if you're not Mandela affected. So Mandela effect is like the highest, it's the epitome of enlightenment. They've reached that peak. And from up there, we look pretty bad. And so that's why we're being excoriated. And the sad thing is, they don't accept certain people based on very egotistical or self-serving reasons. For example, I'm apparently Mandela affected because I misspelled meatloaf, but they haven't welcomed. Where's my love bombing? When is the cult gonna love bomb me? Welcome, brother Tim. You've been affected. You're one of us now. You spelled meatloaf with two words when that used to be the case, but then it changed because reality changed. No, I didn't get that. They said I was. I mean, really, they just. I've already been cast out for some reason. I guess because I've asked questions. I haven't had faith. Cubstar says the Manduzal rage brings the thunder. Oh yeah, let me go ahead and get to that. I have some sound bites here, and I believe this was put together by someone in the Discord server. A lot of interesting things if you're not following my Twitter feed. Yeah, bringing the thunder. We'll get to that here momentarily. Let me play the voicemails first. I think one of these was very important. Yeah, this is it. Okay, I have two voicemails, and look, I'm going to start putting voicemails in their own little category in my here we go, video editing folder. And if I'm going to play them live, I might just post them on Twitter for my own convenience.
Hello, Tim Ozman and the Infinite Plane Society radio realm. It is I, Chief Crow. I just wanted to call and say thank you to Tim for sharing all the live streams, and I want to thank all the Penguins for coming and hanging out. And looks like this coming Saturday, I'll be doing another live stream, and I'll be handing out some wrenches. So looking forward to playing music for all y'all. And we'll be bonking some bots, and we'll get those blue wrenches out. So many sweet psychedelic vibrations to you all. This is Chief Crow saying peace out.
All right, hail to the Chief. So Chief Crow will be live again today. So we have a tradition here. Okay, have another voicemail. Another reason to leave me voicemails, 833-311-1984. It's highly likely I'll post it on Twitter if it's good, or if I don't have access to it live, and it's just easier for me. Because sometimes people leave voicemails on the old phone number, and I don't have access to that here on this desktop. So this makes it easy for me. So here we go. This is another one. Okay, here we go. Voicemail number 2, and this is again Infinite Plane Saturday, correcting the error on the thumbnail. Okay, I might have to get back to that one. No big deal. Okay, now bringing the thunder. Bringing the Thunder. Yeah, there was something about that. Someone had posted on Discord. So if you want to catch up with the Discord server and all of our memes and keep up with us, go to infiniteplainsociety.com and join. And also, if you don't want to miss any of these performances by any of the artists that we feature here, the people who are contributing music to this channel, we always promote them any way we can, whether it's releases, premieres, or live streams. So definitely, Chief Crow will be live today. That's actually one of the reasons why I started early. And I'm going to be reaching out to Commander Lou, who had been given a strike. Okay, yeah, this is posted. This was posted on Discord. I think this is, yes, Bringing the Thunder.
The thunder of my vengeance will echo through these corridors like the gust of 1,000 winds.
Okay, so I don't think that was Staveley's voice. That wasn't the one I was looking for. Someone else had actually made one that had the Bringing the Thunder clip. But anyway, there's so many. That's actually a good thing. We're inundated with memes. Getting back into the animation. All right, let me go ahead and... So yeah, if you don't know the whole thing to this. Now, was it Bring the Thunder or Thunda? Brian Staveley saying that the Mandela Effect deniers were going to pay for it and that he was going to bring the Thunda. But I thought he said thunder. It's spelled E-R, but here it's spelled Thunda with an A. Somebody please clarify. Why does reality have to be so ambiguous? I'm going to open up phones here in just a moment. 833-311-1984. So yeah, some big bird flew by the space station. It looks like a penguin, to be honest. I'm trying to figure it out. It's like, is it a fish? Is it a bird? It's a penguin. And penguins may waddle kind of goofy on the surface, but they fly underwater. We have a penguin exhibit here. And yeah, they quite literally speed around like birds when they are underwater. There's a book coming out pretty soon by Kelly Weil of the Daily Beast. And I think all the people who write for the Daily Beast have literally sold their souls to the devil. And so Kelly Weil wrote this one, Off the Edge, Flat Earthers, Conspiracy Culture, and Why People Will Believe Anything. Now, she's obviously a climate change believer, globe believer, everything on the news is real believer, moon landing believer. So it doesn't mean a lot coming from her, but I just want to point out that she had some interesting things to say about the Infinite Plane Society. She wasn't a member, but somehow she got into our Discord server. And we didn't know, but eventually someone called her out and she kind of bitched about it on an article. But she did say a couple of things, and I believe I have her quoted here. Yeah, the article was inside the Flat Earth Conference where the world's oldest conspiracy theory is hot again. And here's what she said about our Discord server. Flat Earth is weird, but this is weird. This is shit posting into oblivion. This is the information equivalent of clear-cutting a forest. Yep, that would be us. So if you see any penguins with chainsaws, that's where this came from. All right, let's see here. Kevin Mooring says, let's see who's in the Super Bowl this year if it's Cincinnati and the 49ers. They played each other 33 years ago. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on that Super Bowl satanic ritual. Usually it's timed with in bulk with Candlemas, but I think this one's going to be on the 13th. I'll have to check and see if there's any occult holidays it's timed with perfectly. Okay. So anyway, the final. Let me go ahead and end this thing about the Mandela effect. Here's what I came up with today. Here's what I woke up thinking about. I was thinking that now I don't want to have to watch Moonraker, but I will, if that's what it takes to kill this Mandela effect. Because I already killed the Meatloaf Mandela effect. And by the way, I have reasons to think Meatloaf didn't die. He was a JFK witness, lifetime crisis actor, the whole bat thing, but we'll leave that aside for the moment here. I think that providing the options of did she have braces or did she not have braces is interrogator bias. I think that's part of the scam here. So I think Mandela effect pushers need to show all the clips. Not just this one selective clip with their either or, but show me every single clip in the movie, or show me a few different scenes so that we can know if there's reasonable doubt here as to whether or not the movie director is telling the truth, or the actress is telling the truth, or anybody else, because this has been answered. So if she had braces in this one scene, then it's fair to assume she had them in all her scenes. and that therefore the ghost of Nelson Mandela scrubbed those too. Or whatever it is. I mean, they say it's a supernatural effect. Who's responsible for the supernatural effect? You know one thing Mandela effectors don't do? They don't give credit to the person who invented it. They don't shout out Fiona Fitzgerald Broom, who used the Mandela effect to explain ghost sightings, which she posited were caused by a disruption in the universe caused by CERN, allowing some kind of timeline overlaps, and ghosts are really just basically a glitch in this simulation. But they don't talk about that very much. Maybe because she's a necromancer. Okay, so why don't Mandela Affected show us other scenes where Dolly used to have braces? Please, Mandela Affectees, show us other clips of her with deleted braces. You can't just choose that one scene. If the Mandela Affectors aren't willing to do this, then what's the basis for their claim other than selective ignorance? That's what it comes down to. So they're laser researchers and they're not conducting their due diligence. Mary Smith said, "Oh, let's pay attention to the teeth and ignore that she's designed to be a child in appearance." I didn't get that from her, but I don't know. I don't know the story enough. I'll have to watch it. But, leave it to the Mandela Affected to pay attention to, like, the least important details in the world. It's like here we are. Hey, they're locking everything down. They're letting rioters destroy stores, and they're affecting a communist revolution, and they're brainwashing everybody into snitching on everybody. Meanwhile, these guys are arguing online about they're discussing how are we going to get the non-believers to believe us that Ed McMahon used to pass out big checks. Like, I don't know if you could give me a big enough check to care about the Mandela effect. Even if Ed McMahon shows up and knocks on my apartment door and hands me a big check, I don't even know. I don't even know if it'll convert me. Climate change denial on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter and TikTok is not going away. Right. Because only denying it. See, this is the thing. The language of the MSM is to call you a denialist for not believing in something, and then they attack you. And I see the Mandela goons doing the same thing. All right, let's go ahead and go through some more of these very important headlines. Yes, Elon Musk sent baby squids to the ISS. So this is just another one of these things where maybe it's part of the bigger story. Elon Musk sending glowing baby squids to the ISS for NASA. 128 glow-in-the-dark baby squids. So, I mean, this is, again, all theater. Not sure what it means. But remember, last year, they were sent, no, in 2019, on the mission CRS-19, they sent genetically modified mice to space. And that started the entire Mousegate thing. Is there anybody here unfamiliar with Mousegate? We exposed Mousegate, and then the head of security for Starlink started following me on Twitter. And again, Mousegate was this thing where we saw a mouse on the outside of a rocket on the way to the ISS on a mission where it was actually carrying genetically modified mice. Now, that's an absurd proposition, obviously. However, it is what it is. So what are you going to say? Your eyes are lying to you? You see an animation of a mouse on the outside. And even the Daily Express eventually picked this up, which, again, they have their explanation. However, if you don't take for granted that it's 100% real, and you understand that you're being messed with, and this is all CGI, it shouldn't surprise you at all. The mission has an inside joke. Genetically modified mice sent to space, like Mighty Mouse. They called them Mighty Mouse, a mouse that can fly in space. And then on this mission, you have a very conspicuous thing, the shape of a mouse that moves like a mouse on the outside of the rocket. So again, Mousegate is a thing, mouse on the exterior of CRS-19. And this sort of preceded Year of the Rat. Of course, COVID-19 was Year of the Rat. But this was on December the 5th, 2019. You can find animations of it. You can find clips. You can find a lot of denialists. And look, you are a reality denialist if you say it's not there. I mean, whether or not it is a mouse, I mean, you don't have to agree with the conclusion, but the fact is, it does appear to be a mouse. It has a tail, it has ears, and it moves like a mouse. So I'm not a reality denialist, but I'm not going so far as to say I believe that this rocket went to space and there's a mouse on there. Nor am I going to say, well, obviously, this is space ice at Mach 8, forming into the shape of a mouse, moving like a mouse, and then melting. Nothing to see here. Well, I'm sorry, but there's still something to see here. If you're telling me that we have an animated ice sculpture moving at Mach 8, it's noteworthy. And how can they just ignore this stuff? The NASA fanboys ought to be saying, this is incredible. This thing is moving at thousands of miles an hour, and this condensation is forming into the shape of a mouse. And, coincidentally, there are genetically modified Mighty Mouse on board. All right, let me go through some comments here. Yeah, this could even be a Mickey Mouse reference. Who knows? Or is it a muskrat, perhaps? I don't know what the story is, but last year, year of the rat, 2020, year of the rat. And the thing they did also with the bat soup on the quarter. You all saw that one, right? The 2020 quarter. I still have a couple of those. And yeah, it's got a bowl of bat soup. Hopefully heated it up to the, what is it, recommended 160 degrees for wild game, because that's what started it all, according to mainstream news. And when I look at Meatloaf and how he's synonymous with the image of a bat, and he dies of COVID after becoming anti-vaxxer, I think that's just got to be another world stage actor. I'll have some meatloaf with my bat soup. Okay, so here's what Meatloaf actually said about the JFK thing. That's what I wanted to find here. When he was 16, on the day of the assassination of John F. Kennedy, Meatloaf had met the president when he arrived at Dallas Love Field. After hearing about the assassination, Meatloaf and a friend drove to Parkland Hospital, where he saw Jackie Kennedy bloodied getting out of the car. Does anybody here believe that? That Meatloaf saw this? I think this is an indication here that Meatloaf is a, well, world stage, lifetime crisis actor. Wee says, Tim, you sound pretty attached to the mouse scenario. It's not that I'm attached to it. It's that it's a pretty good example of gaslighting, where O'Brien holds up his hand and he's got 3 fingers up and he says, how many fingers am I holding up? You know, it's like 3. And he says 4. And until you go with what he says and not what he's showing you, you get the electric jolts to your gonads or whatever he was doing. I mean, severe torture. I think he had teeth ripped out. So the idea here was, you don't have your own perceptions. Big Brother tells you what you're seeing. And if what you're seeing contradicts what you're told you're seeing, you don't see it. This is actually a feature of the Sims that are waking up in Westworld, where when they see something that doesn't belong on the set, their response is they don't see it, and they say, that doesn't look like anything to me. And that's how the normies are. You show them a glitch in the Matrix. Hey, look, this astronaut turns into CGI, and the microphone goes through his neck, and his head goes to the ceiling. And they say, that doesn't look like anything to me. Hey, look, the plane is CGI. Clearly, this is fake. Oh, look, there's no plane there. Inconsistencies in the mainstream story. And they say, that doesn't look like anything to me. You show them empty hospitals, dancing nurses. Same thing. That doesn't look like anything to me. Mr. Stray says, I'm trying to get paid and make music and listen to IPS all day and make a living. Yes, awesome. That's kind of how it is here in the Discord server. A lot of creative people working around the clock. It's one of the reasons why I really try to insist that people get there. But if you don't want to be in the Discord server, the next best thing is to be on the 24/7 live chat, which is kind of like the Discord server. It's fast moving, there's a lot of people, and the people who are commenting are generally adding to the areas of research. Donnie the Dead mentions that the new trailer for Pam and Tommy on Hulu features the Meatloaf song, I'd Do Anything for Love. Interesting. Timing, is everything with these types of events, and I don't think that's a coincidence. And the lyrics, if you go into it, they're not that ambiguous. I'd do anything for love, but in a way they kind of are because he uses the word but I won't do that. However, it, it, I don't think it's a huge stretch to suggest that if Meatloaf is, as I'm contending here, a lifetime world stage crisis actor, that this song has this sort of a refusenik edge to it. As in, I do anything but one thing, which is a contradiction, but it's saying that this person is at the end of the line. This is where they're not going to budge. So from the very beginning, he's associated with the bat, dies of the bat, after publicly adopting an anti-vax stance, like very publicly. So these things taken together, and then finally, he predicted his own death after his producer died. So that was like a year ago or something. So you have death prediction, and then look at even this image here. He's being swallowed by a bat. I can't think this is coincidence. Speaking of bats and all that, this is something we were talking about, names and everything. So Dr. Fauci, you can definitely rearrange it into Dracula. It doesn't take a lot. You just got to bend the F down into an A. But also Dr. Fauci, you go doctor, and then you reverse the spelling of his name, like Aleister Crowley would instruct. So ICUAF. So Doctor, I cough. Doctor, I cough. Dracula, all kind of encoded into it. And you know, in 2020, they actually were giving vaccinations out at Transylvania, actually at the castle. They were giving people COVID-19 vaccines. And I thought that's kind of, I don't know, kind of a weird marketing ploy. I mean, these days they're mostly just bribing people. And, you know, I think I said that the Krispy Kremes is now actually giving out these donuts that look like it's a booster shot going into the donut, and it's got these COVID sprinkles. You got to see it. But I'd get vax for that. I'd fake a vax pass for a COVID donut. Portal Complex says it's because of this channel Elon made his workers put more mousetraps into the studio. Well, it would make sense to me that you might have wharf rats where he's at, but there's no way a rat could survive in that environment. So when I say that there is a rat on the outside of the rocket, I'm not saying I believe that there's a rat on the outside of the rocket. I know it's an impossibility. But I'm saying somebody inserted it. So this suggests here CGI, AVR, augmented virtual reality, possibly done fly on the live, but I doubt it. Pre-recorded more likely. So in other words, it should not exist, and it's so problematic that it just can't exist, so they're not allowed to see it. Jenna Lovecraft Reeves says that Fauci is Ellen DeGeneres. You know, I looked at that. It's weird how if anybody was to play Dr. Fauci, like in a movie, I think more than anyone, I would say that Ellen DeGeneres actually does have the features. It's bizarre, but it's true. And then I was looking at the two of them side by side, and I'm like, well, what is the difference? Not all that much. I mean, this is all stuff that could be done in studio. She even has sort of the delivery, her tone, her cadence. Like, Dr. Fauci actually sounds like Ellen DeGeneres playing the role of Dr. Fauci. And she's really high up in the PSYOP entertainment complex. Do you remember when you had the Vegas shooting and she had Jesus Campos come up on stage and she brought out a blueprint of the hotel and she's like, show me where you were when you got shot. And I'm like, wow. She's an expert on this event, which is still under investigation and all this, but they put it on TV. Jesus Campos was the security guy that saved lives, risked his own life, and he disappeared for 3 days. And then he shows up on Ellen. Ellen also had the Parkland acting troupe, the Parkland crisis actors, who didn't cry at the scene, but they sure cried when she handed them a $25 million check for March for Our Lives. Restless Bear says she's a gremlin. Cubstar says she's very masky. According to the QAnons, she's already been executed. She's also implicated in the frazzle drip thing. But anyway, I don't know. I mean, really, there is something there to it. It could be, as I said before, that at the top of the Illuminati dung heap, it's just a very, very shallow gene pool. So they're all kind of interchangeable in their features. COVID, Dracula's castle in Romania offers tourists vaccines. Romania has recorded over 1 million infections since the pandemic began. I wonder if they would vax you in your neck if you requested it. Anyway, just shows you how that whole operation was just. It wasn't like they could scare people into it. They had to coerce them. They had to make it entertaining. The marketing that's gone into this thing is incredible. Okay, so we were talking about Mousegate and why it's a big deal. Well, it did get us a stalker from SpaceX. Okay, so Candace Owens has been talking about this fake moon landing. She said the 69 landing was completely faked. Nothing about it makes sense, especially NASA's accidentally erasing the footage. And she had a few other things to add. But the responses are very revealing. So this guy, Xenomorph6, said it literally, in all caps, couldn't have been faked with the technology back then. So the moon landing could not have been faked with the technology. I'm sorry, but when you're faking something in the movies, you don't need the technology. That's kind of like science fiction. I mean, you could point at any science fiction movie, like Star Wars, and say that literally you couldn't do that. You couldn't fake that. We don't have the technology to make that movie. Like, of course we do. It's all fake. But that's the thing they can't cross. They can't cross that line and insert into their mind, oh, this actually could all be theater. So he says it couldn't have been faked with the technology. What does that even mean? A Space Odyssey, 2001 A Space Odyssey, pretty realistic. I would say that the Hollywood movies are more realistic than what NASA provides. So it's ridiculous. But how would they know the difference? I mean, we already failed the Tom Cruise litmus test, the Tom Cruise deep fake test, where mankind is now officially in a simulation. January 15th, Independent. Tom Cruise test shows people can't detect fake videos, even when they know they're fake. Again, the name Thomas means twin, and this Tom Cruise deepfake double clone thing, very interesting. Restless says, when is Tom finally going to space? Well, he was supposed to go, and then the Russians beat him. So it's been postponed for a little while, but I think it's still going to happen. They say COVID delayed it, but I have an update on the general story, which we'll get to that shortly. Germany ways to ban Telegram, a tool of conspiracy theorists. Who didn't see that coming? All it's going to take is one mass shooter to post his plans on Telegram and to go do something, and then they'll take it down. We saw this happen with 4chan, 8chan. They tried it with BitChute. I think they kind of let it back up, but in some places they banned it. Okay, so read some comments here. Cubstar says the deepfake Tom is immortal, Tom isn't. Well, these movies are telling a much bigger story. That's this metascript perspective, and I think it's important to note just how influential Kubrick's work has been in the shaping of the world stage as it is right now. And so with that, you have to account for the role of Tom Cruise, not just as Eyes Wide Shut, but also his role in Scientology, which is a space religion. And I think that the conjunction of Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard over there, both at the JPL with Marjorie Cameron and that Antichrist working with the sex magic stuff, they were conceptualizing this space age religion, updating Mystery Babylon with science fiction jargon. And both of those guys were associated with the Laurel Canyon Manana Literary Club of Robert Heinlein from Stranger in a Strange Land. He wrote that book about a Martian coming to Earth. Anyway, Tom Cruise is basically the Jesus Christ of the Scientology space religion, and all of his movies are a part of this story. That's why he's always a hero. Hero, Horus, sun god archetypes. It's why he dies at 33 in Vanilla Sky, and he is resurrected after 3 days. Okay, let's see. Ivar says, I think the bowl cut thing is phallic symbolism. But just the tip. Okay, interesting. It could be. We're talking about symbolism in plain sight, and they just replace one thing for another. And so it wasn't a big stretch to take the obelisk representing the sun god and update it as the rocket. And this was made very clear on the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11 when they projected the Saturn V rocket launch onto the Washington Monument. So you had obelisk on top of obelisk, but it's the New Age obelisk. And in Iran, there was a tradition of, let me bring this up, burning obelisks, throwing stones at it because of what it means. Why Iran, here we go. Why do Iranians burn the obelisk? You find a lot of videos of this. I don't know if they still do it now because of COVID, but it's an interesting thing because it was a rejection of the god Baal. It was a rejection of this Mystery Babylon thing. And I'll show you a few examples. What is an obelisk? The uppermost portion forms a pyramid. To understand why it's so important to Masons, one has to understand the Masonic version of Egyptian mythology behind their rituals. And this is from Iran Clips. And it's sort of a short video explaining the history of this, and then it goes into actual videos where you can see people burning them. But it says, Isis recovered all but one of the pieces of Osiris. So the story is, Set kills Osiris. He's a king of Egypt. And he scatters the body parts into 14 pieces. Sometimes it's 42. It depends on the story. He scatters them around so that he doesn't come back to life. So then Isis picks up all the pieces. But the one she can't find, of course, is she can't find his severed phallus, so she puts this thing up over his grave to complete him. Again, the rock that begot, this is all Egyptian stuff. The obelisk is just a symbol of this earth god. So now here you can find footage in Iran of people rejecting this symbol by throwing rocks at it or burning. And I've seen obelisks set up with six-pointed stars, U.S. flags. This one looks like it's one from D.C. And it's called the Mos'af movement, which is a movement to basically burn these things. So again, now here's where it gets interesting to me. So you're looking at this rejection of this burning obelisk symbol because it's the devil. This one here has the Israeli flag, American flag on it. So even though they may reject it in this form, Iran has a space program and has since like 2009. So the rocket is just another obelisk replacement. It doesn't make a difference. So it's interesting to see how, even though they may reject this symbol in its old form, they are blind to how it's reemerged, and now they're part of the same one world Baal worship, just under a different guise, with the pretense of it being science and it's this place, this realm, a higher realm, when it's actually a replacement heaven. So anyway, it's a subversion, I guess, but this is how slick the system is of syncretizing these various aspects of different religions and merging with science, and the public doesn't know that they're now part of this global cult. They don't know that they have accepted a new flood myth, a new devil, a new concept of sin, a new heaven. All right, let's see, going through some comments. Rourke says, Dolly was not wearing braces in the later scenes, but I'm looking for the scene when he first meets her. Yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to go through all these different images of Dolly and see if there's any other points in there where it's ambiguous. Did she have braces or not? All right, let's move on here. So this guy says you literally could not fake the moon landing back then. What does that even mean? Okay, this is QAnon shaman confronted by the Flat Earth Boxer. Now, I've attempted to interview the Flat Earth Boxer. He's known for going through the empty hospitals. He exposed a lot of that stuff. And so I think he's mostly legit, but he won't talk to me because I'm not a biblical fundamentalist that believes in a dome and an ice wall. So basically, he's like a dome earth Christian. These Bible earthers, it's basically Christianity combined with Mark Sargent's worldview. Like, oh, we're under a dome, and an ice wall. And that's what they're hiding. There's no extra land, and to say that's kind of where he's coming from. So anyway, here we go. This is QAnon shaman, possibly Owen Schroyer, talking to the Flat Earth boxer. And I was bringing this out because I want you to hear the QAnon shaman when he's not on the microphone and how his voice sounds. Because I think he sounds a lot like Owen Schroyer. I think the tattoos look fake. But let's go ahead and listen for a moment here where the QAnon shaman talks about his beliefs.
The infrared is evil and it's like demonic. Everything above ultraviolet is like angelic and positive because it's a high frequency. Okay? So angels are like quote unquote aliens from a positive high frequency dimension. And demons are like quote unquote aliens from a low frequency demonic dimension. Does that make sense? So this idea of angels and demons is just another word. What we're calling aliens is just angels and demons, or jinn, whatever you want to call them. There's all these different words or phrases throughout history for these beings.
And in some cultures they support sodomy, and other cultures they don't support sodomy.
Okay.
That's your proclamation?
Well, what I'm saying is that when
and
it
what
comes
culture
down
is
to,
sodomy?
When it comes down
and what,
to sodomy, when it comes down
yeah,
to
and what culture is butt sex? Is gay anal sex?
Okay, so that's a Flat Earth boxer asking about people's sex habits. While interviewing QAnon shaman about his spiritual beliefs about demons and aliens and angels all being kind of the same thing, but the demons are just lower vibration aliens, and the angels are higher vibration aliens. I'll play a few more seconds.
Sex high frequency.
Well, here's the thing, dude. All depending on how it is that you want to look at reality, all depending on what kind of a moral compass you have, will dictate how far over one edge or not.
How
over
deep
the edge
into
you
another
go.
man's butthole.
Okay?
That's what I'm talking.
Okay, so let's go on past that one. That's again QAnon shaman, possibly Owen Schroyer, talking to the Flat Earth boxer about his spiritual beliefs. A lot of these musicians pulling their music from Spotify are, I think, probably somehow connected to Big Pharma. But check this one out. Yoko Ono is threatening to add her music to Spotify over Joe Rogan. It's by Steven Songs. Might not be true. So many people have been clamoring for him to be pulled, and then they're playing the race angle. And there's a lot you can go off of. And you know what they haven't hit on yet, and they may. You know, if you wanted to go cancel Joe Rogan, one thing they could probably point to is his endorsement of the whole urine therapy, which Jimmy Kimmel is now honing in on. I mean, I don't know if he's ever going to hone in on the flat earthers that do it, but Jimmy Kimmel actually put out a video, here it is, of anti-vax leader pushing drinking urine for COVID. This is Jimmy Kimmel saying, "We make our return to our studio after an unwilling extra week off because of Omicron." Right. Right, so they could sell some more cures, some more snake oil. Have they banned the word snake oil yet? There's this all-out war on memes. I brought this up yesterday. The gun grabbers are now meme grabbers. Not a coincidence. It was needles versus guns. Now it's needles versus memes. And these things are all connected. You don't have memes if you don't have guns. In other words, you don't have free speech if you don't have the means to defend it.
Happy New Year. Thank you for coming.
Okay, here's Jimmy Kimmel. Let me see if I can find the clip here where they're honing in on these characters, and this is why I think these characters are all plants. I think that these people are planted there in order to make it easy to dismiss a group later. So here they are making it very easy to dismiss anybody who doesn't believe in the Church of the MSM's version of things. If you have any doubts about it, well, you're one of these guys.
Telegram over the weekend to tout the benefits of his all-natural COVID killer.
The antidote that we've seen now, and we have tons and tons of research, is urine therapy. Okay? And I know to a lot of you this sounds crazy.
And you know, this is interesting. I've noticed this, but all of the people who advocate this, they all have this sort of a pallor to them. They have a skin. Their skin kind of looks like they're glowing. They look sort of flushed, but sort of like in a kind of yellow orange kind of way. I'm not making this up. And their hair always looks somewhat greasy kind of greasy, kind of weird. And I've noticed this with all of them. And I don't care to speculate about what their breath is like, but a lot of them do apply it topically, and they use vaporizers to get it in their lungs. That's what Dave Murphy's been putting out. So you have Dave Murphy. Murphy's considered to be an authority on flat Earth. If BBC is going to interview anybody, they're going to reach to him. So it's like, hey, this guy represents all of you. And what does he do? He inhales it, and he brags about it on YouTube. He demonstrates it.
Crazy, but guys, God's given us everything we need, okay?
Oh, come on. Someone just said that Santos Bonachos is now pushing it. Santos Bonachos is now pushing urine therapy. This has got to be some kind of like a blackmail thing. I mean, this is like some kind of a hazing, a blackmailing, or some kind of a instant discrediting. I don't think it adds to your credibility.
I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not telling anybody to drink their own urine, but I drink my own urine. I've drink my own urine for the last 23 years, and I'm still alive. And I drink bleach. Not bleach. I drink chlorine dioxide.
Okay, and he says he's still alive. You know who isn't is Antonio Superrats, who also endorsed all of this, and he's wearing a Nikola Tesla shirt. Okay, so Nikola Tesla has been he's been turned into this mythical character. He's attached to the QAnon. Donald Trump's Uncle Joe has the guy's secret files, and so the Trumps are now time travelers who are going to bring about the suppressed technology, free energy, free Wi-Fi for everybody, life extension. All the miracle cures, like urine therapy, that have been suppressed are going to be released with the Great Awakening. So he's also wearing Nikola Tesla to probably make people who look into Tesla, to make them look like they're into alternative therapies and cures or whatever. But anyway, what was he taking the therapy for? That's what I'm wondering.
Doctor, I'm not telling anybody to drink their own urine, but I drink my own urine. I've drink my own urine for the last 23 years, and I'm still alive. And I drink bleach. Not bleach. I drink chlorine dioxide.
All right, chlorine dioxide. Okay, so here you have Jimmy Kimmel able to just riff off this. Like, hey, look, all of you who aren't in favor of mandatory pokies are just like this guy.
He calls it's urine therapy. Urine therapy. It's actually one conspiracy theory I'm okay with. If you think vaccines are created by the devil or George Soros or Bill Gates, go right ahead, pee in a mason jar and chug along with Dr. Dumbass. I don't know. Let's look at him one more time because, yeah, that's a guy who drinks his own pee.
All right, there you have it. And they put the guy up there for everybody to laugh at. This is like 1984, 2 Minutes of Hate. All right, ritualistic humiliation. That's like, I'd rather be in the Black Eye Club than in the urine therapy club. Like, I don't know if you get a pick. When you get drafted, if you get chosen, you get picked to work for the Illuminati or whatever, they initiate you. I'd rather walk around the black eye than have this stigma. It's got to be a hazing, some kind of initiation. I don't think it's legit. Okay, let's move on here. Joe Rogan has got to go. Such a reoccurring theme. Oh, speaking of Joe Rogan, this is Joe Rogan on his podcast. Let me see if there's any context here. I think there might be some context. We'll let Joe explain it in his own words why he's doing what he's about to do. I don't think it has anything to do with vaccines. This is from a few years ago on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Was Joe saying that
don't videotape my penis, especially with the soft.
Joe's saying drinking your own waste is a healthy morning beverage.
Don't be videotaping my penis.
How much do we need here?
Just a little. You know, I mean, you're not trying to prove anything.
That much?
Okay, so here's Joe reusing his Starbucks cup. He's actually doing it, and he actually drinks it live, and they show it. I almost don't want to put it on the screen. I don't. It's been inside of Joe's body. But yes, Joe Rogan is he would go cheers to this anti-vax guy.
That big of a puss where I want to see you drink yours first.
Okay, there you have it, Joe Rogan. Maybe that. So why did he need ivermectin? Okay, let's see here. Mary Smith says, once you drink it, you'll be it for your whole life. My definition, one shot. Really, just one? So if you just try it, you're forever stigmatized. Okay, let us move on here. Look, I think the people endorsing this are all federal informants. I think that's one of the things. It's just too common. We shouldn't even be talking about this. It's so bizarre. But there it is. And now it's on Jimmy Kimmel. Front and center. Michael Flynn claims COVID was invented by Soros, Gates, and others to defeat Trump. So Michael Flynn, who believes himself to be an avatar of the Archangel Michael, who has reintroduced the prophecy cult, the Church Universal Triumphant, that put people into doomsday bunkers. He recreated that whole thing with Q, and they've recycled the same prayers to the 7 archangels and the 7 rays. So anyway, this guy is a 3-star general, major league brainwasher cult leader who claims that Q is a CIA psyop and he has nothing to do with it. He's suing CNN for associating him with Q, and yet he speaks in front of Q events. He delivered a very bad karaoke of We Ain't Gonna Take It, which was QAnon's final drop. It was a link to the song We're Not Gonna Take It, which was a reference to the election. So again, this is Michael Flynn denounces Q on one hand, but then you see him in Vegas in front of a poster which has a Queen of Hearts and a 7. So you get 17 and an obvious Q. So this is what they do, though. They're sending mixed signals. RFK Jr. is out there getting headlines for his rhetoric at that anti-vax event in D.C., yet he never stops to say, hey guys, JFK's not coming back. You can leave Dealey Plaza. He's not going to show up at 107 to save the world anytime soon. But nope, they let people continue to run with that. The whole QAnon racket is actually based on, the whole thing is it's a big psyop based on this narrative about the Kennedys and this hidden royalty. And RFK is the one person who could put it all to rest, and he won't.
Health organization, which has come into the news quite a bit because of all this COVID stuff and the responses. But all of these global organizations, the United Nations is another one. All these global organizations, they think they see themselves, and those that are sort of even above them, they see themselves as, this is how we can rule the world. This is how we can control societies. This is how we can control humanity. So let's introduce something called COVID, and they did it for a couple of reasons. One of the big.
So this is, again, what I would consider a gatekeeper or a guardrail. So let's say you don't believe the official story about it. Well, then you're leaving the mainstream and you bump into InfoWars and you hear this. So now you still believe the things out there, but now you believe that George Soros did it. So you don't really change your trajectory at all. You've been bumped off the guardrails, you've been kept on the road, and you're still going the same direction everyone else is going. What we have done is we've looked at the facts and we realize there isn't anything there. It's all a war game, a mind game to get you to play on the world stage and take a side so they can crush the sides, crash them into one another. And you don't hear that perspective, that there isn't anything there. No, InfoWars pushes it. No, there is something there, but we can blame the other guys. Okay, going through some comments. Ivar says they're seriously about January 6th because they put so much effort into unveiling Q. And they're really making an effort here to educate the people on the left about the structure of Q and what they really believe. They're going deep rabbit hole now. Even Jon Stewart did a podcast on Q and the JFK thing. So it's not going away. It's being revealed for a reason. And I think it's because they're probably creating some kind of a patsy. Someone to take a fall very soon. All right, let's go ahead and move on from that. Yes, Joe Rogan is one of those. He's a recycler. Just start calling them recyclers as a euphemism. So I heard this conversation. This is Tom Cruise in a conversation with the NASA astronaut Victor Glover. And they talk about space travel. And so someone had asked about this Tom Cruise thing, where it's going. I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit from this. It's a conversation between Tom Cruise and Victor Glover. And the part I'm going to play is just a short clip. And I kind of think it's typical of NASA speak, where I think it's kind of word salady. And they're always asking the same questions.
Astronaut strength conditioning and rehabilitation specialists help us with.
Did you feel, that's incredible. Did you feel the longer you were up there, because I want to just a little question on this also, is that you were there for so long, and the time when you got there and when you did the spacewalk, Is there, what level of depreciation of bone and muscle density is there? And did you feel a difference? Like, what happens to your metabolism with the Krebs cycle, with the mitochondria? Did that affect the spacewalk? Could you tell the difference in terms of your strength on the ground that you built up? Is there a diminishing effect the longer that you're in space, is my question ultimately? And how did that affect your metabolism, your BMR, with calories and nutrition? Did you have to think about that?
Oh, wow. There's a lot packed in there.
There's a lot packed in there. Yeah, that is one very compact word salad. And I think you have to be a level 33 OT Scientologist to have that kind of word salad processing power. That's fantastic. How many questions did he ask? And how little did he actually say? That's how I actually feel after reading some of these Scientology books. I'm like, a lot of words went through my eyes. I don't know how much of it actually stuck or if it was just one run-on sentence after another. Unbelievable. So anyway, that was pretty much what I took out of it. So he's going to space because he's talking to an astronaut who went up to space. And by the way, the guy he's talking to, Victor Glover, he's the one who hilariously tried to debunk flat Earth with a flip phone. So he takes out a flip phone because, if you're an astronaut, you get the best technology, the best of the best. So you're going to have a flip phone when you go up there, like a track phone. So he's up there in the Dragon capsule, which, the whole thing is just kind of corny already. It's just this little porthole. But instead of putting this camera up to the porthole and showing you the Earth and turning the camera left and right so you can see it, see how fragile it is. It's like, there's your fragile Earth. Now you can take recycling more seriously. No, instead, he shows you an edge of the Earth, just like a third of it. And then he flips his phone upside down to make a circle. So he flips his phone to make you think you saw the globe. And then when he brings it back to his face and he says, wow, that was so beautiful, he's upside down. So again, I'd have to ask, why can't you show us the whole thing? Let me see if I can find that video. Shows us the Earth. Take that, flat earthers. The only thing I can compare it to would be if you were like on a safari or something and you happen to see a unicorn. But instead of recording the unicorn's horn, you focus on its backside and then you just kind of flip your phone around. And, it's just like, why would you crop this? Why wouldn't you show us an amazing... So it's called Victor Glover's Amazing View of the Earth from Space. NASA astronaut Victor Glover traveled to the ISS for the first time and he shared his unique perspective. He will call the space station home for the next 6 months. Okay, so this
unique perspective of Earth.
The video just doesn't do it justice. It is pretty amazing, though.
Wow. It's breathtaking, isn't it? Glover is part of the Crew 1 mission that launched aboard SpaceX's Crew Dragon capsule earlier this month. He'll call the International Space...
There it is. He flipped it. You see, he flipped it upside down. He showed you one side, showed you his face, then he flips the phone, and now he's going to put it back on his face, and he'll be upside down.
Station home for the next 6 months.
See that? Busted. What do you make of that? And I think the reason why they don't is that it would give away that you're looking at a screen. I think that's the reason they don't. The less they show, the better. And that's kind of been their standard operating procedure from the beginning. Very minimalistic on purpose. The less they show, the less you can take apart. They showed too much. They went too far. When they started golfing on the moon, I think they went a little too far. Okay, Daily Kos reacted here. Candace Owens is a moon landing conspiracist. And notice, she's not a conspiracy theorist. Nope. She's not a moon landing hoax investigator. No, she's not in any way is she taking any sort of like intellectual angle here. No. She's doing this out of just pure racism. Owens is a moon landing conspiracist. They started using racist instead of theorist a couple of years ago. I picked up on this trend. I'm like, I don't know who started that, but they came up with that in some boardroom. This will shock you. Candace Owens is a moon landing conspiracist. Before you read this tweet, recall that this woman is a highly influential pundit. and a rising young star in the conservative movement. She's one of their best and brightest, and yet she appears to be two sniffs of airplane glue and a grilled cheese Jesus away from being Michelle Bachmann. Now this is Daily Kos, or Cause. The Daily Cause, I was on there as a blogger for like one post and they deleted me. So all she said was, the 1969 landing was completely faked. Nothing makes sense, especially NASA erasing the original footage. And all they can really do is attack her. My conspiracy theory is that Candace Owens was invented by my own mind at the end of a week-long Funyuns and bath salts bender. All they can do is attack. Tinfoil hat, right. You know, when someone accuses you of being a tinfoil hatter and they're wearing a dirty sock on their face or the equivalent, they don't have anything to stand on. And this guy here, Kevin Conrad, hey Candace, there are satellites in orbit. You can see the astronauts' footprints. Right. Argument from cartoons. Point to something on the screen. Now someone else here comes out with psychoanalyzing him, and this to me is kind of an offensive thing anyway. Oh, you don't agree with us, so there's something wrong with you and you need medical attention. I'm sorry, but those of you who believe in global warming with no evidence are a bunch of, paranoids, agoraphobics. Thomas Logan says, seek help. People that believe in conspiracy theories have unusual patterns of thinking and cognitions, and they may be manipulative and display interpersonal and affective deficits, meaning that you don't have any empathy. I love this guy, though. It literally could not be faked with the technology back then. Right. Because you have to have the actual technology to make a movie about it. Like, you couldn't make a movie about landing on the moon until you had the technology to land on the moon. I mean, where do these people come from? Did they not understand how movie magic works? Well, actually, they don't. Humanity failed that litmus test, the Tom Cruise test. Okay, so it just ends here with, remember when the intellectual standard bearers for the conservative movement were William Buckley and George Will? Now they're vaccine and moon landing skeptics. Salty says, I was confused because it's Saturday. Yeah, I'm sorry about that thumbnail. Like, I've been up to my neck in Mandela effect debunking, and I kind of somehow slipped into a different timeline. I'll go ahead and fix that here in a moment. Let me open phones as well, 833-311-1984. By the way, Chief Crow is going to be performing live today. He mentioned that earlier on a voicemail. So we're going to be blasting that. So if you're not a subscriber, subscribe and get notifications, because I'll make a post so you can get that notification. We talked today about Dolly. Does she have braces? Did she ever have braces? Do they have a good basis for making that a Mandela effect? Oh, here's something that might be an indication of what's to come. A Kansas man who made a Biden death threat said he was coming for the president. And that's today, January 29th. So we have some kind of right-winger going after the president. Now, this isn't really relevant. David A. Pryor posted this in Discord today. He says, you won't be able to unsee Gene Simmons from KISS. Gene Simmons, major vaxhole. I mean, the guy is totally a pusher. And a hypocrite, as are most of the people around him. But Gene Simmons played a trans villain in a John Stamos James Bond ripoff movie. So if you're looking at the screen, according to the poster, you won't be able to unsee this. Gene Simmons as you've never seen her before. All right, that's probably enough of that. I think it's, Stamos from Full House. By the way, I think the director of Full House owns the Charles Manson house. Well, the house where the Manson killings happened. As weird as that is. Let me play another clip you can hear.
Do you believe what you see? Yeah!
Yeah, that would be Gene. Excellent marketer, really. something about Prodigy. If you read his book, I think it's called Me Inc. He was into marketing, fashion, and stuff at a very young age, very entrepreneurial. All right, is Owen Schroyer the QAnon shaman? Some people have expressed some doubts, and the pictures suggest that it is the same guy. I can't spot a difference as hard as I try. I mean, there are some different angles where you might say, but there's some explanations, such as mostly facial hair to push his chin out. Their build is the same. They have the same gesticulations. Also noteworthy, Owen has been out on the streets for 5 or 6 years as an agitator. He's a street performer. He's obviously working for an actor, Bill Hicks, and Bill Hicks has this act, Alex Jones, which is very different from Bill Hicks, but not that different, but different enough. And I would say that the difference between Bill Hicks and Alex Jones is not any more of a leap, to accept than this. Owen Schroyer of InfoWars, tip of the spear, may be playing a dual role as the QAnon shaman, tip of the QAnon spear. All right, let's see, going through comments. Yeah, Rip Neil Young and Joni Mitchell on Spotify. It's kind of pathetic, though. They try to throw their clout. You delete Joe, or we're going to leave. And they don't delete Joe. And now they're trying to get other people to leave, and they're celebrating that Spotify stock is down 20%, 25%. I mean, it was already on its way down, but it's gone down like 25% this year. Okay, if you're looking at the screen, you are looking at the QAnon shaman on the left. It looks like Owen Schroyer. It looks exactly like Schroyer, but that's actually the QAnon shaman. Now the ears are different, but notice that heavy metal ring pinched on his ear. That's all it would take to change the ear. Also the glasses pushing the ear out. And I notice a lot of these deep fakes, they like to use these bandanas. So, it doesn't have to be the case. The fact that Ashley Babbitt's not dead and that he, as in Schroyer, doesn't call that out, that doesn't really speak well in his favor in terms of is he who he says he is, or is he part of this psyop? Okay, I'm going to update the title of the stream. It is now Infinite Plane Saturnday. Again, my apologies. I'm back on the correct timeline. I've updated the title, Infinite Plane Saturnday. Maybe that's why I was trying to get a call going with someone. I said, hey, Infinite Plane Sunday. He probably took me literally. Mary Smith says, interesting to compare the voices. Yeah, I have. And you mostly only hear Owen on the mic. So you have to listen to the Owen Schroyer off the mic. And that's why I played that clip where he was talking to the Flat Earth Boxer. And they sound the same to me. It's within the same range. Again, actors will play their... So for this to be true, though, it would also have to be true that Owen Schroyer was playing this role concurrently. And that's one of the things. There's some overlap there. But still, when I look at it, it looks to me like a cheap CIA disguise. Very cheap. I mean, come on, a bandana. But it's consistent with the methodology. Listen to this. The UK's first lockdown was announced on March 23rd, 2020. The announcement of the end of the restrictions, January 19th, 2022. That would be 666 days. What do you think of that? HR says you might beat the algorithm with day ahead titles. I can't even spell flat anymore without them doing something. They put a little notification below it, but they don't correct you if you believe in aliens. Watch former Fox News anchor explain how network's viewers have been brainwashed. Again, kettle, meet pot. Left wing is brainwashed to the right and vice versa. NASA mocking moonfall because it looks so phony and fake and ridiculous when NASA brought you Apollo 11 and subsequent landings where they golfed on the moon. Like again, who's laughing at who? Who's actually being all that laughable? This week we've discussed the moonfall thing. So it starts with the movie Moonfall coming out right after Don't Look Up and all these other shows and movies about stuff falling from the sky. On New Year's, you had the Space Needle simulated, of course, hitting the moon. Then we have this 4-ton piece of space junk on a trajectory to actually hit the moon next month. And the thing is, Moonfall starts off, the movie has this premise that the moon gets knocked off its orbit. So it all just seems very coincidental. The moon falling. And then you have this guy, an actor from a movie called Moon Knight, who died on 119. Now, January 19th is a big Skyfall day. Donnie Darko's release date, it's a reverse 9/11. All kinds of references with 119. And on that date, the actor from Moon Knight is in a ski collision. So you have moon and collision, and he dies, 37. May have some significance. But again, I'm pointing all these things out because this is just an interesting week. It's the week of the Challenger explosion, the Kobe Bryant's death. And the Kobe Bryant's death, by the way, seemed to mark a ramping up of the entire coronavirus thing here in America. Because right after that, and of course he was buried in Corona del Mar. But one night, after this week is the week of when the patient zero was out there in Seattle. And then it officially became a pandemic in March. But so I see the death of this Moon Knight character and all this Moonfall stuff as possibly portentous of the next space 9/11, as so much has been in recent weeks. We've been talking about the Northwest Tower that burned in the Bronx fire, the 19-story building on 1/9. 19 people initially reported dead. Like, clearly, we're seeing some space, or some 9/11 symbolism, 9/11 references, and it's caused by a space heater. It all looks very much like we're looking at a setup. Mary says, why is that? How heavy is 4 tons in space? Yeah, good question. Good question. How heavy is it? Well, they say it's going to explode when it hits. We're joined by Commander Lou of Crater Earth USA. And, Joe Rogan made it a point to laugh at Crater Earth. And I don't think this is a coincidence. I mean, I'm not trying to put too many things together here, but so Joe Rogan is discussing the Crater Earth notion, the idea of the Earth being much bigger, and we're in an area, and we're not talking about an impact crater, we're just talking about an area, I guess crater-like, but not necessarily an impact crater, not necessarily the same thing. So anyway, he's talking about this with Adam Curry, and he just starts laughing. And it's not really a good joke. There was no setup. It's not a punchline. It's merely an appeal to ridicule. So here's Joe Rogan, who we were just watching him guzzling his own urine.
Is it cool if I'm that big a puss where I want to see you drink yours first?
Okay, and now here he is laughing at the idea that the Earth is a much bigger place with Adam Curry. And Adam Curry is open-mindedly speculating about what...
But I then also have the right to explore other versions that have been told, which includes Crater Earth, which is even...
What's Crater Earth?
The Earth is actually a much larger planet, and we are living in a crater in it, and that's...
Okay, so you have Joe Rogan and Adam Curry, and that's his response, just laughing at it, ridicule it. So, about a week after this, less than 2 weeks after this, Crater Earth gets a strike on YouTube. What are the odds? What are the odds? Very good argument, Joe, that giggle. Yeah, just giggle. That'll make it go away. Right. Just giggle at it. Gatekeepers.
Wacky story.
As you wish.
I feel like theory is it's a little lofty for this one.
Okay.
A
whole bunch of YouTube videos with a cool voiceover taught me.
Okay, anyway, there you have it. Joe Rogan made it a special point to say Crater Earth and put that out there into the memosphere. So now it exists. He won't say flat Earth. The one time he did, he mentioned Eric Dubay. And what he had said was, basically, oh, flat Earth. If you go down that rabbit hole, next thing you know, you're a Nazi. Like, he made that leap. So they had already placed that story out there. Jenna Lovecraft Reeve says maybe we live inside God's fingerprint. Yeah, like some kind of a divot of some kind. Right. Now, what if Adam Curry had said, you know, Joe, if you recycle your bodily fluids, you'll be impervious to China viruses and Soros born bioweapons. Do you think Joe would start snickering? No. You'd hear his pants unzip. He would take his Starbucks cup and he would fill it up. He'd be like, yep, that's certainly legit. Sounds legit. Gulp, gulp. Okay, phones are open 833-311-1984. We had a voicemail I played earlier of Chief Crow, so just a heads up here. Chief Crow will be live today, and I'll be mirroring the live stream. Actually, I'll just send people over there. You know, we want to make sure that he gets the subscribers. I think YouTube actually pulled his video for auto hoax. All right, here we go. Checking my voicemails as well. Starting a new thing as well. If you leave a long voicemail, 30 seconds to a minute, if it's something very interesting, I'll make it into a clip and I'll upload it onto Twitter and get more traction. I want to get a lot of the phone calls that we have here as well excised and separated from the live streams. You know, sometimes in hour 2, hour 3, things get very interesting. Okay, so let's see what we have here. We have a voicemail from, looks like first time caller.
Hey, Tim, I was watching your live stream. It's Lou, 629 over here in New York. I see you're live. I thought you were talking about urine. I thought that would be a good time to call in.
Yeah, yeah. Now would be a great time to
I'll
call
wait to
in.
hear from you on Facebook, and I'm ready to call in whenever you're ready. Okay, peace.
Okay, you know, this would be fine. Commander Lou, if you want to call in on this, if it's convenient, just use the number 833-311-1984. I will go ahead and take your call. And you know, I don't mean to rip on Joe Rogan, but we're pointing him out. We're talking about him because he happens to be the face of the opposition to the main. Like he's like the anti-Fauci. I'm talking about Dr. Joe Rogan. But his might be actually. I mean, you take his. Who knows what's in that steroid? Some kind of growth hormones. Infinite Plane Radio.
Hey, is this Tim Ozman?
Yes, it is. This is Commander Lou, Crater Earth USA. Great to hear from you. And
wow, you recognize my voice.
Yeah, hey, how does it feel knowing that Joe Rogan, the biggest podcast, well, the largest podcast in the world, he's not the biggest podcaster, shouting out Crater Earth, just putting that out there, pronouncing it. What do you think?
Well, I'm just wondering why it didn't increase my subs a little. I didn't even get a bump. He must not have as much of a reach as I thought. Yeah, impressive, but oh my God, what a ridiculous presentation of the theory.
Right.
Embarrassing.
Well, you know, Adam Curry, though, I liked his explanation there. He said, well, I should have the right to explore this thing. And I didn't really understand why Joe just immediately threw it off when Joe will contemplate simulation theory. He'll talk about DMT use and having these wild experiences, but those are acceptable. What you're saying is not.
No, Crater Earth. Ah, ha, 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 ha. What the hell was that laugh? What? How? Like you said, it wasn't even. There was no setup. Am I supposed to know who Tim Curry? Who is that? Who is this Adam Curry? Someone in my comments said you don't know who Adam Curry is. Am I supposed to know this guy?
I don't know who Adam Curry is either, and I really don't.
Oh.
I don't know who he is. I don't know most of Joe's guests. All I know is, yeah, he brings this up so Joe can knock it down. I think that's their MO.
Absolutely, 100%. Because this to me, someone in your comment said Crater Earth versus Hollow Earth. No, it's like you said, it's not an impact crater, but if it's shaped like an impact crater, that makes more sense. Ice wall, penguins guarding the edge, fine, okay. But hollow, who knows? So I don't think it's a versus. I think that's just what we're on or what we're in, some kind of a habitat with a dome. But whatever, hollow underneath, sure, why not?
Well, when you
got to
first
get out of here somewhere.
When I first heard you speak, it was your going home for Thanksgiving. How do you tell everyone you live in a crater video? At first, I thought, is this like Hollow Earth? But no, Hollow Earth is completely different. Hollow Earth is a closed system. It just means we're on the inside of it. There's no more land. And what you have posited here is an open system, meaning that there's more to the world than they've shown us. And that's what's different.
Yes.
All the other models are closed. Even the flat Earth model is closed. So that's
Well, I
why.
have to defer to God Give Lampstein. God, just quick, he's the one that came up with this, obviously, not me.
Right. Well, why don't you explain to people listening how you arrived, though, at an alternative view of the world itself originally, how you started to even question this?
Oh, it started because I bought or I asked for a cheap telescope. We were my lovely wife Christine and I was shopping. It was about 7 or 8 years ago, and my birthday was coming up. So I'm like, oh, you know what? I want to get a telescope because we were living in North Carolina. We had just moved there, and I could see the stars. Now I could see the stars from my yard. New York, no stars. So, where I lived on Long Island. So I got the telescope, and I looked through the telescope, and I looked up, and I saw that they weren't what I thought they were. I was in my 50s. I finally looked through a telescope at a star on my own, and I saw light, resonance, vibrations, dancing in water in my mind. It's the only way to explain it. And then I researched it and saw that everything that we all know, CGI, NASA, no such thing as stars the way that we've been presented. They're not prior balls of fire, whatever. Okay, so from there I went into where do we go? I went into the internet, and Google led me to YouTube, and I was already I was suspicious because I was also being mentored by a minister out of Texas, and we were going through the Bible together. So I was seeing things in there with the four corners, and I was being taught as an intern, as a pastor, saying, well, the Bible account indicates, there's four corners to the earth, it's a flat plane, and it's not a globe, whatever. However, whatever, you talk about that sometimes. But so I was always questioning it. How could the Bible, move towards a flat Earth, for lack of a better way to describe it, and we're on the globe, and anyone who's an intellectual or theologian or a scholar or a teacher or mentor would just say, well, it was written then, and they didn't know because they hadn't been to space. So that just didn't sit well with me. Then I saw the stars. Then I went to YouTube and I found flat Earth. My soul felt great. I felt like my whole world opened up. Now I know the Bible's correct. Whatever, the way I see the Bible, I know you have some interaction with people about that. But to answer your question, that's how I got to it. And once I realized that that's what it was, the truth sat well with my soul. I mentioned it to the guy I was being mentored by, and I said, "Oh my goodness, the Earth is actually flat, and it makes sense." And I knew about Enoch, but he didn't want me to go outside to the extra canonical scriptures. And I thought it's a funny story, said the old man talking to the young guy. It's a funny story. He at first he said, "Yeah, of course it is," and then the next meeting, I wanted to talk more about that. And he said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "The flat Earth." And he said, "The Earth isn't flat." I said, "Yeah, you agreed with me last time we talked." And he said, "No, I thought you were just joking. The Earth's a globe, you idiot." Literally used to call me an idiot. That was my teacher. So
Wow.
that's
So
it. So
you had a moment there, like where you went out independently looking at the system we're in, the sky. You're looking at the structure of this thing where you hadn't for the previous 50 years of your life. That's how blinkered we are,
Yeah.
and it's a light pollution, and they keep us from seeing this thing.
Yes, but you got to consider, Tim. Now I have to deal with. I saw the moon landing when I was 7. With my dad, watching it on the TV. And I became a patriot. And I was in the military. So we have to consider the emotional impact that had on someone like me. That was a tough one to get over, the deception. So when I presented to this pastor at first, I'm like, why would you call me an idiot? But in retrospect, I got to look what I'm trying to say to this guy who was in his 40s or something. His entire worldview would be shattered, and how many people can deal with that?
Right. I was talking about the TV show Westworld, where when the simulation sees something, as in the Sims, in these beings who are somewhat sentient, they're becoming sentient. But if they see something that doesn't belong on the set, that would contradict this Western movie set, they wouldn't even see it. They won't register it, and they say, "That doesn't look like anything to me." And I'm like, oh,
Wow, that's fantastic.
that's like every normie out there.
Normie. Yes. Yes. Outstanding. Wow. What a parallel to find. Yeah. How do you see these things? You kind of scare me. You scare me, Tim.
You're like the third person this year that's told me that, but it's because I watch these movies as though I'm examining ideology or a mythology and an attempt to
Yeah.
subvert the mind through the use of public relations. And then you have the grandnephew of the father of public relations, Edward Bernays, his grandnephew founding and one of the co-founders of Netflix. So I watch the stuff as though it's got a deeper meaning and purpose, and I'm pretty much vindicated every time I watch a new series.
That's happening to me right now. We're at our Sunday church, which is preempted this week because of this strike. But we're going through John's Apocrypha, Secret Book of John, and it's identifying all these entities that we call fallen angels or whatever. Doesn't matter. Whoever you're talking to has a different name for them, but whatever these entities are. And I search for shows sometimes because I want something to look at in my spare time that's not current, new, where I'm going to get whatever they're trying to feed us now. And I landed on this show, came up in my feed, Britannia. And it's fascinating because it's all about Rome invading, I guess, what would now be England at the time. And you had the Druids and the Celts and the Celts, I guess. I don't know, Celts, I'm an idiot. But all these the Vikings and the British years ago, and they worship all these different gods. And like the one Roman soldier was talking about, he was reflecting on all these different gods, and that's what I would say these entities are that are referred to in John's Apocrypha. It's creation before this was created. These entities, they're the gods. And this Roman soldier is saying in this Britannia series on Amazon, I don't know where it was originally, but he said, look at us, Rome, our gods. What's different? The difference between our gods and their gods is we have a God for everything. For God's sake, we have a God for our boots. We got a God for our boots. When I put my boots on, I thank and he named the God, I forget whatever the God's name. And it's fascinating to me because it's exactly what I need to know. And Tim, I agree with you. This stuff that they put out, now I'm watching this show and I feel like I'm getting educated on what I'm reading in this Gnostic scripture.
Yes. And in the comments, Linda Curtis says, I think these stories tell the story of the power structure. And I think there's something to that. Because every movie I watch, in the last, I could name, there's a Wheel of Time, and I read the book series, but there's a movie Wheel of Time, there's the 100, Raised by Wolves, and I think even Watchmen. I'm finding all these different series are putting strong female protagonist leaders instead. And in a number of them, they're lesbian. And I'm saying that this is intentional. This is intentional, and it's consistent. It's introduced because they're shaping what's to come. They're making things that you don't normally see very in your face, so that they can start acclimating you. And that's also, I think, why we're seeing people moving into, I think, lockdown culture.
Acclimating us to the androgynous, but right now the creation story, the narrative is the female took what was the creator's and used it without permission, ultimately repented, but became the opposition, which is the same narrative in the garden. If you're a fan of the Bible.
Yeah, Eve, the disobedience
the female
of Eve.
energy is opposed. Yeah. So I mean, and I hate saying that because I get a thumbs down and the chicks in my chat get all pissed off. I shouldn't say that. I'm old, but I'm saying the ladies, and I love the ladies, Tim. So I'm not saying it about men and women here in the flesh here, but what's happening is in society, the man and the woman are kind of emulating that narrative because it's being pushed on us in all this mainstream media. And what's it doing? It's castrating the men. It's setting them soft. It's turning them soft. And on the side, they're no longer warriors. They're followers. They're helpmates. They're partners. And the women are running everything. I just heard this the other day, Tim, and it makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck. Sometimes I gotta let him be a man. I gotta let my husband be a man from time to time. Let him think, If he wants to, do something masculine, I'll just let him do it for a little while. I don't know if
Well,
you've noticed
that
that.
the Eve story also kind of reminds me of the story of Pandora's box, where and this time I think it's Zeus or whatever. Similar story. She releases chaos into the world, and they have to flood it because of her disobedience. But another one of the trends I've seen is robosexuals, where they're bringing out androids or synths or simulations, and they're getting it. Like even Westworld has this as a theme, where people are going to robots, synthetic beings, for affection.
We're going to do that as soon as I come back. We're going to be looking. I have all the bookmarks. Yeah, the robots. I can't believe you brought that up. That's going to be. That should be. We were ready to do that before I got my strike. As a matter of fact, JT mentioned to me afterwards he was going to call up and pretend to be a robot because I talked about it. But he was going to surprise me. But that's what I mean. I'll tell you now. Just Google human robot companions and hit shopping. Hit the shopping tab.
Okay, well,
hit the shopping tab.
I'm watching a show called Human on Amazon, and
I saw that.
God,
Tim, that's it. That's the show.
that's the one.
Yes.
And Amazon's going to be delivering these things to you, where they order somebody, and now these things are so this is like the Terminator 2 robot invasion, but instead of destroying us and killing the infrastructure, they're just replacing us and seducing us into not even. It's that's what's happening. I mean.
Okay, but if you take humans, I don't want to be a spoiler for you. May I?
Yeah. This is
Spoiler
research, so
alert?
yeah, by all means.
Okay, that ultimately these humans. Interesting they use humans because there's a whole another movement out there. Mark Christopher kind of did a video about that. For sovereign individual humans with inalienable rights, different than it's mankind. That would be us, and then the normies would be the humans. But these things, it's interesting they use the title humans. But in that, these particular androids, interesting, they have to stop with. They got to make sure they're near a plug. By the way, isn't? I don't know if you noticed that. It's hilarious. They got to charge themselves. But anyway, but what happens is they become organized. And they ultimately have regular human people, carbon-based life forms, start to empathize with them, consider they may have feelings and that they have rights. And then it starts turning it, and then the series ends essentially. We never got to see how that plays out, but they started becoming represented in government. So they became a race, essentially, Tim. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? That's funny you say that because one of the characters in this, and this is good conspiracy theories or spoilers, but what we're doing here is media analysis, and so we're not even looking at these as spoilers. But one of the characters in Human is a robot who works in a brothel, and then she wakes up to the fact that she's just a piece of what is it, rubber or whatever, and so she's. Decides she wants rights, and she gets her rights or fights for them and gets a lawyer to represent her for something she did. But remember, Sophia, the robot they introduced at the UN, she got human rights in Saudi Arabia. So she's the only woman in Saudi Arabia who doesn't have to wear a burqa.
Well, what's the name of the female opposition that I was explaining earlier from John's Apocrypha? That's Sophia.
Exactly. Yes, Sophia. The name Sophia being chosen for this robot is very, very significant. And one other thing, she's a Henson robot, and she's been brought about. We talk about robosexuals. Well, she was flirted with on stage by Jimmy Fallon. Then she was made out with by what's his guy? The guy who kisses his kid on the face. Will Smith.
Kisses his what, Tim?
Will Smith. Yeah, he was trying to make out with this thing. And I'm like, okay, they're trying to get us used to this idea. I mean, how is this different from necrophilia? I mean, dead matter, getting us to have affection for dead matter. And then also this metaverse, falling in love with avatars of people. I mean, this is the space age, I think. Mankind being physically spaced out from one another as we enter into sim.
Well, explain this. If you take my suggestion and search human companion robots, and turn off the safe search. Not that you have to do that on Google by default, but it's interesting that the perfect robot simulations that exist now are sex bots. They're sex dolls. They're the ones that are perfected. But if you want one that's going to come and help you do housework, or keep you company in the living room, you just get they're still not quite as they haven't been perfected as well as the sex bots. So I don't know. Let's lead with that.
Well, nothing.
That's where they go.
Nothing about this should be unexpected. THX 1138. So many science fiction movies.
First time I saw boobs.
In that movie, okay. And
my father took me to the movie. I must have been 7, 8 years old, and he was sitting next to me. And as soon as what's her name took her top off, I forget her name. Shelley Duvall? No, I don't know. Whoever, Mia Farrow took her top off. His hand went over my eyes, and I was very disappointed. And from that day forward, whenever I saw a boob, I felt shame and guilt. I don't know why I'm sharing that with you.
Well, I had parents who I would when I was really little, I remember being poised near the VCR to hit fast forward if they had to. So I think I know where you're.
Yeah.
But
you were a little younger than me, so the technology to censor was in place at that time. They had to put their hand over your eyes. All right, fair enough.
But yeah, you can see though where this is going, and this is really not a new story, but now the technology is catching up, and people have been habituated to it. And they'll have these celebrities like Jimmy Fallon coming out and quite literally flirting with a robot. And again, this robot has human rights now.
It was disturbing. I watched that. I saw that. That was disturbing. Just how giddy he was, in because he's looking at something. I mean, come on. If he's in the club and he's at that level, he's got to know a little bit about what the agenda is. So if the temporary agenda is to create silicon-based life forms that you can upload a consciousness into, then he's literally talking to his future. Because if I'm right, and it's not just my imagination, which it could be, but a guy like Jimmy Fallon would be like, well, if I do everything they tell me to do, when I'm an old man, I could get my consciousness uploaded into something else. I think they tried it with clones, but they couldn't pull it off. Now they've got these synthetic life forms. I don't think that's the ultimate goal. I think it's the utopia in the metaverse. I think that's the goal, to have your consciousness uploaded. Well, the show that they told us that in is called, ironically, Upload, right? I think. But,
Yeah, I'm glad. This topic of uploading consciousness and Jimmy Fallon, 100% an insider. Jimmy Fallon is implicated with Horatio Algo, one of the other SNL characters, in grooming young girls to go hang out with them backstage and get drunk. Emails have leaked. So he's an insider. He's a pizza gator, if anybody is. But
absolutely.
This theme of digital transcendence, of consciousness being uploaded, digital immortality, salvation by technology. This is a reoccurring theme. Vanilla Sky. That's the theme in that one. In the movie 100, the characters are able to put this implant, a microchip in the back of their necks, and they can send their consciousness into the City of Lights, which is like a metaverse. And it's funny because the people who
100, okay.
The movie 100, and the people who don't want the microchip are treated like anti-vaxxers. Like, oh, you don't want to go up into the City of Lights. But it's a reoccurring theme.
That's what I'm proposing. I mean, I know we divide a little bit on what's in this vax. But as far as I'm concerned, they're testing the technology to connect us to the grid, and I think that has something to do with it. If at this point it's just to see how many will take it, what kind of fight they would. But frankly, I spoke to a 30-something-year-old relative of ours, and explained to him what I thought the vax was, and I was saying it's this technology, and they're going to metallicize you and put whatever I said. I'm not going to go over it. I said, and the whole goal is to attach you to the internet, so you don't have to walk around with one of these things in your hand. And he said, "That's great. Sign me up." He was thrilled.
Yes, that's that's what I think. In fact, in 100, the only people who can plug into this microchip thing are the ones with the bloodline. And they're goo bloods. And the goo blood, they're black blooded. So it's like, wait, so is the goo blood injection nothing more than the operating system that's going to plug you into the Internet of Things?
I'm sorry if the technology that they say that they say, the things that I've seen I know you do research and stuff, but I don't know how far you went into what the components of this vaccine and the things that are in it. If it's true, that you can only discern that it's intended to increase your ability to connect for whatever reason, whether it's something you're doing. Obviously it's not. They may be doing it. I think they could be doing it against our will. We just become part of the whole grid. Hey, look, you see a shot from above from one of the balloon satellites, and you look at a city and it looks just like the inside of a computer motherboard. From above in some ways. So who's to say that as above, so below, whatever they're trying to do. They're just trying to recreate that here in society. I don't know, Tim. It's so complicated. There's so many places to go. It makes my brain. It makes my brain just. It's just loud and crazy in there. But either way, right or wrong, I just don't want to take this thing. That's just my personal decision, right?
But I agree with you on this. Whether or not people believe in the veracity of the claims of the Bible or whatever it is, the message there, the symbolism inherent in the vaccine, in the logos, in the agenda itself, the way they wrapped it up, they dress this thing up like Mark of the Beast. You get this narrative that's been building where it's hard to not arrive at that conclusion if you're just looking at the storyline that they've put out there. So I don't think it's unintentional. I think Bill Gates is a very interesting world stage character, and I look at him also as almost like he's at Heaven's Gates, like almost a Heaven's Gate cult almost, but he's at Heaven's Gates, and he's there to determine who goes into the New Age and who doesn't. It's vaxxed,
Well, I
saved.
love your analysis of this, and then you compared it to that movie with that TV show. What was it? Was it Utopia, right? With Dwight. Dwight from The Office was in there. Dwight Schrute. And the guy playing was it Utopia where they vaccinated everybody and you were just talking about it.
Yeah, I believe it was. Yeah, it was Utopia, where they basically scared the population into depopulating for a couple generations to save the Earth, which is not an unbelievable. I think if you look at the Georgia Guidestones, yeah, it seems like that's in their plan.
Well, it seems like they use that as a basis for the script. But what I'm saying is, I got into this at like 12 or 13 years old because of how Lindsay's late great Planet Earth. So I kind of woke up a little there, and I've been looking for the Mark of the Beast since, like since I'm 13 or 14 years old, somewhere around there. I bought the book at a bookstore. We had a bookstore day, or whatever the hell they call it. At school. So I went down there. I had my $5, whatever I had in my pocket. I bought that book, and I read it. And so I've been waiting for the Mark of the Beast since then. I've been waiting for someone to receive a deadly head wound and be resurrected. I would watch, read what did I have available from the newspapers. So, and one time, even probably in my 20s or 30s, I saw a little article. Some guy over in another country. So you're talking about in the 80s or 90s. I see an article. Here's some guy working for a mortgage company or what I was doing at the time, and I see an article about some dude that got a head wound and survived. And I'm like, I wrote his name down. So I'm like, that's going to be the Antichrist. So and how many times since then? So I get it. We're here. We're current, and they're creating what we call the counterfeit, and they're using Revelation to bring it about and all the prophecies, and they love to take the Bible and incorporate it into society and update the terms, and no one does that better than you, Tim. But man, I've probably applied that to credit cards. The barcodes came out.
Right. That's true.
And that was the Mark of the Beast. I mean, how many marks have you prayed before us before we realized it all happened already?
God, that's good.
That the original.
Yes.
So the original scripture is very simple. Very simple. It's written in pathos. It's written at the time of Caesar, and everything there in there applies to Rome, and after the fall of Jerusalem. So there's no reason in the world, not to consider that the percentage is higher that it happened then, rather than it's something that's was projected for, what are we at, 2,000 years into the future?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, yes.
Really, that makes sense?
I remember
Come on.
researching Revelation, and there was this Jesuit named Rivera, I think it's Alberta Rivera or something, who came up with Jesuit futurism, where his thing was, I guess, just taking this older account of this mark of the beast and this arrival of this character and everything ends or whatever, and he put it in the future as a way to scare the Protestants into going back into the church. So it was kind of a counter-Reformation move to say, if you don't go back to church, you're all going to be picked up by the beast. And so it seems like it could be an invented story, and it's not all that different from global warming. I mean, how many decades have they been saying the world's going to end, it's going to get hot, now it's going to get cold, now it's going to flood, now we're going to be hit by an asteroid, and we're constantly seeing these things. And I look at the news, and it's like 33 years ago, the big news was China and Russia, space wars, and they're going to nuke us. Back then it was Star Wars. Same thing today.
Yeah. Well, in Hal Lindsey's book, and then I became, I was in the military during the Cold War, and Hal Lindsey's book came out in the 70s, and so he had all the references biblically assigned to different countries. China was this one. Russia, we were the eagle, I think. Russia was the lion. I don't remember all the specific characters in the prophecy, but he applied them to all these different countries. So I spent, and Israel obviously was well documented in the book as well, and it was all. He said that his target was when Israel became a nation in the 40s. That's when the revelation started, and then he was tracking it up to the current day in the 70s. But he's still relative in that community. But Tim, just the whole teaching of rapture, from a Christian point of view, it's not that old. It's not that old. Maybe based on this warped timeline we have, it's newer. It may even be newer. But it definitely was still something that came out of a modern theology, a modern approach to studies, hermeneutics, exegesis, whatever they call that crap. So it's not something that people back in the day, before, I don't know if it's Calvinists or whoever, but whoever really brought that in there. You can look it up. When did the rapture teaching and current revelation teachings come into existence? Whatever you want to search it, you'll see it's not that old. So before that, pretty much anybody walking around that was a messianic person or in the faith, whether Protestant, Rome, or just independents at the time, Gnostics, Nazarenes, whatever they were, they weren't waiting for Christ to come back. That was introduced to them after. So many generations after this event already happened, and obviously the stories didn't go down through. They get watered down, so they're not talking about that anymore. They're living their lives. And they're worshiping in their faith, not waiting for Christ to return. And then some minister comes in and says, "Oh my God, the Book of Revelation was written for tomorrow, not then." And it started a whole movement. That's the way I see it.
I think you're on. I think you're right. Sure. I think we've witnessed this in the last few years. This is why I'm so fascinated by the QAnon phenomenon. Is with this QAnon, you have this neo-Christian cult where they believe it's revelations, that Christ returned through the Kennedys, and that the deep state versus the not deep state is the war in heaven. And they are waiting any day now. He's going to come back. And if you don't believe, well, if you know, you know. They say that. If you know, you know. It's no longer about facts. It's about faith. So you have the faithful adherents of the Q drops. And the oral tradition... The oral tradition for Christianity, they've referred to it as the Q source before it was codified. So yeah, you have a new Q source, a new Christianity, Kennedy-anity. That's where we're at.
You hit something there. That's where it gets scary, Tim. And somehow, I don't know why, but my pea brain is connecting it to this whole transhuman agenda, post-human existence. The fact that they say I mean, we know about gnosis and the Gnostic belief, and that's where I'm at right now. I may have had a messianic experience, but I would say that I'm more inclined to learn now from the Gnostic scriptures if I'm going to go there, and that's what I like to do. So that's where I'm at. So, but to hear this thing that you cover so well, and no one's better than you at it. If anybody's even doing it like you do, I haven't come across them. But if they're seeing it sits well with our soul, and that's what makes it true, man, that's the crucible. Because I don't know if I use that word right. I don't know why I said crucible, but you probably know what that means. Why did I say crucible? But that's that right there. That should scare us.
Yeah,
Because
you're looking at a yeah, it really is. The idea of a new Christian cult and it's attached politically to a demagogue like Trump, and these people. Whether now they're all true believers. Now all it's going to take is not some crazy to pop off, but for some psyop to be run, where now they have a plausible movement. So it's like the story of Osama bin Laden and the 19 hijackers wouldn't have been believable if they hadn't already planted the seeds and given us the stories to go along with it. So yeah, in this case, this QAnon thing I think is it's like a powder keg. I mean, there's definitely
well,
it's
here it is. Here it is. Here, crucible, a situation of severe trial, or in which different elements interact, leading to the creation of something new. So this is the crucible. This is going to lead people. You're absolutely, man. You did it. You did it all this last year or however long you've been connecting this stuff. You did it. You're showing us how they're leading us into this new religion.
yeah.
This is a new religion.
When I saw the QAnoners tell me they're going to open the seals, the sealed indictments, and then we're going to see the judgment.
Oh God, how do you do that?
Yeah, I'm like, okay, so the
Yeah.
sealed indictments, and then we're going to see the judgment on the big screens of all the bad guys. This is a
Well,
new.
if this is true, Tim, then you're the Elijah that's supposed to. We've been waiting for. You're
Right.
Elijah. You're. Oh boy.
But,
Insert yourself into the narrative, bro. This is fun.
Well, on Dark Matter Radio, where we first had our, and I'll probably have to put those into my playlist, the talks we've had on Dark Matter. I had interviewed an author, Mike Rothschild, who wrote a book called Q, The Coming Storm. And this was last year, early last year. And I said, hey, what do you think of this JFK thing? And he said, oh, that's nothing. It's just a fringe. Ignore it. He wasn't even interested in that aspect of the story, yet he's writing the definitive book on QAnon. And I'm like, how did he miss it? So I
Wow.
continue to hammer in on this topic and hone in on it and follow it to realize this is not going away. They're not covering it for a reason. And now all of a sudden it's being exposed. Even Jon Stewart just did a podcast on it. So this story is coming. It's coming out, whatever it is.
Well, they have to do it because you're doing it, and less is more in conspiratainment. So we may not have the reach, but we have something. We have something that they're watching. They're watching closely, and they can't hurt us. So
No,
okay.
and
They can watch.
look, I think that soundbite with Joe Rogan, Crater Earth. I think that's the start of this. I think it's great because whenever they put something out there, it exists now. It's in the memosphere. And if somebody searches it, what was Joe talking about? Well, the place it's going to lead to is you. And so, since I have you on the phone, I wanted to go over your site, and I see you got Team Crater, Invincible, Crater Bunny. I'm checking out your merch. It's actually pretty. Pretty. Why don't you tell us about that? And I'll put the link to Crater Earth USA in the chat.
The merch, that's a Spreadshirt site. I just threw it all up. We're the channel. We're trying to. We have Team Crater. I do have a business manager now, and he's working to try to help make this. To find the people that we need. I can't do everything like other guys do. I don't have that. I don't have that. I just can't go as long pointing and clicking to make everything that we need to do here. And you know how much goes.
Oh
into
yes.
this stuff.
Oh yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So. Once we get a merchandise person, it'll look better. So I apologize ahead of time. But you can go in there and customize any of those items and buy a shirt, a mug, or whatever. And I just threw up some of the I got Crater Bunny, which I love watching, seeing my lovely wife walk around in her Crater Bunny hoodie. It's so cheesy, but we have to do it because we want to make a living at this. But one thing I will plug, though, is you mentioned Joe Rogan on the channel. If people don't mind, I did. Take the excerpt from my live stream when I talked about this and made a standalone video. So it'd be nice if you want to see my take on Joe Rogan and meet the commander that in that light when he's standing up for himself or responding to so much criticism. It might be a good video to go watch on my channel. But other than that, everything now. And what did I do though? I broke my own rule, Tim. I wanted to be conspirataining. I wanted to lighten things up. I didn't want to feed the entities my angst and frustration and do like you do. Present it without an emotional attachment, and you do it so well, regardless of what it means to you personally. And I failed. I failed my subscribers. I failed my family. I failed my country, which is me. I'm a sovereign country now. I'm
Crater Nation.
I didn't. Yeah, there you go. Well, I'm the actually formally it is the United States Federation of Craters, and I'm the commander. So, but anyway, I can do that if I want, right? I can claim that this
absolutely,
is my country.
absolutely.
Where I stand is my country.
Look, if Ghislaine Maxwell can claim Terra Mar as the uncharted waters, then you can claim the Universal Federation of Craters, and I'm claiming Citizens of the Infinite Plane.
All right, nice to meet you. So, yeah, that's great. So saying that, I lost it, and I got mad because New York, they did it to me. They did it so well, and I'm gonna take it personally because I think I'm the only one in New York that's anti-mask. It just seems that way, but at least on Long Island. But the governor put the mask mandate in November. A Supreme Court justice ruled it unconstitutional last week, and then a day later, an appellate judge granted a stay, so the mask mandate was back in effect. So I went through this emotion. Monday, I thought we actually won something, and I'm usually I don't get tricked. Even if we win something, the first place I usually go is, well, what are they giving us and why? What is the reason for this little bone? But I lost. I got happy because I like shopping, Tim. Simply put, I like going grocery shopping. I like to cook, so I like to buy my own groceries, and I like to go to the store and pick things out. So I could do that again without feeling worried. And trying to go maskless in Long Island, very difficult. So I was happy, and then to the very next day, the appellate judge, I was like, Supreme Court, Constitution, you can't argue with that. And then an appellate judge, I don't even know how they did it, how they do it. I'm not a lawyer, I don't know, but they struck it down, and the mask mandate was back in effect, and I was sad, and I went live that day because that's what I was doing, 1 to 3 every day. And I went live, and that was the top plate issue for me. And I got emotional. And then I thought it was such a good broadcast, I wanted to make a standalone video. So I you can still see episode 18. It's the same thing I put in the video that they struck me for. The same stuff is in the live stream.
Yes, that's one of the things they do. They will, I have this live stream on now, which has been on for like 40 hours or so, and I can say anything. But if I take out a clip of us talking for 5 seconds, critical of the WHO, that clip will get the strike. Absolutely.
That's why I don't put titles on the streams anymore. I stopped putting titles on the streams, just episode number, date. And it seems like they don't, I don't know what that means. But as soon as I made the standalone, I put it up. I did make a thumbnail that kind of indicated it was a little. I did call New York a communist state, a country now. I don't even think it's a state anymore. Essentially, I believe what the governor did. Essentially, it expressed that she seceded from the government, and I thought that once something so eloquently stated in the judge's decision. That just flowed constitutional, and it flowed with sensible reasons to strike down that mandate, and for that to be even appealed to me, I just thought the argument was over. For that to happen in a state that's supposedly part of a United States system, I was waiting for the tanks to roll in and say, "Oh my God, we got communists running New York. Where's Biden and where's the military? Why aren't they coming in here and saying, 'Oh my God, this is the Constitution's not being honored in the United States. We took an oath.' Why aren't the tanks rolling into the capital, into Albany? and removing her and installing a temporary government, and then having a vote again. I don't know, how it
No, I
really
understand,
works,
and
but
I don't think there's any need for an apology. It means that you're real. And I remember that same sense, thinking, okay, well, if there is anything to America, and I served in the military too, and I thought,
oh, I didn't know that.
and it's
Cool.
like, yeah, I was actually 54 Bravo, NBC NCO, nuclear chemical biological decontamination specialist. So when I saw the way they were doing PPE,
Nah. Yeah.
when I saw the way they were doing PPE at the grocery stores, I was like, this is a drill. This isn't real. They're not even using decon lines, decon points. They're not throwing away PPE when they leave the store. Like, they're not doing anything because I
Wait, what's
participated.
PPE? What's PPE? You're talking
Oh
to
yeah,
an
personal
old man
protective
from the.
equipment. Yeah, your mop suit, your mission.
Yeah.
Remember your mop suit? So I was in drills.
I wore more protective gear when I would wash the jet.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
All right.
So
Yeah.
no, I
All right.
remember being on base where we simulate nuclear fallout. So now we turn the base car wash into a decon zone, and everybody goes to
Oh,
these
wow.
areas, and they have a very systematic way of cleaning the streets, of cleaning all the vehicles. And so I was reading about how if we had a bio attack, you would have car washes commandeered. You'd have different ways that you could maintain a control over the so you could
Wow.
quarantine so you wouldn't quarantine the country, you would quarantine a city, and then you would fix that. Then you would narrow it down. And so the way we did it was completely wrong, but also it wasn't consistent with anything that I saw in terms of
No,
transference. Like,
no.
I mean, every time I saw a doctor with a selfie in the hospital, I'm like, wait, your phone is a
Oh, yeah.
carrier. You're transferring waste all
Oh,
over the
it's like
place.
you can't even. It's so. One thing we talk about how it separates those of us from what you call the normies. I mean, it just how can we not have some sympathy? I don't know. There's nothing in this presentation that they've given us makes sense. It's almost like they're testing to see how stupid the mainstream is, and to see what kind of opposition there'll be, and make sure it's under 10%.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
you're right. It's like a litmus test. And I brought up the Tom Cruise test. What do you think of this one? Where people cannot tell the difference between the real Tom Cruise and the fake Tom Cruise. And the news media is acknowledging, hey, we've passed the point of no return. Do you find that at all?
Well, I saw a video of Will Smith about 4 or 5 years ago, and I can't find it anymore. But I saw it. It came up on my feed. I watched it. It was a short video where he was talking to you and saying he's Will Smith. But guess what? It's not me. This is me. And then they showed the real Will, and then they showed the computer-generated Will, and you couldn't tell the difference. And then they had the computer-generated Will doing all the things that you would see in a movie, and it was frightening to me. So I don't know. I don't know where you're going with this, but I don't know if I'm saying the same thing.
I just think we're at a place now. It's where the world is in a place of they're both in a deception in terms of what they believe, and now they can't even trust what they see. And
you can't tell the difference. No, you can't. You're right.
So now we have movies. I've been bringing up movies lately about like Moonfall's, the next major one. So I kind of want to veer into this for a moment here. So with the crater Earth idea and a larger Earth, we're not dealing with orbiting objects in space. What do you make of the moon?
I wonder why, if this moon is what they say it is, right? Why? And it controls the tides. I remember learning somewhere that if the moon shifted just a little bit, we might lose a country. Like the entire globe would be, the geography would completely change, the topography. Right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong to say that? So
no.
Why would you know that about the moon and then go put tons of equipment on it and leave it there? Isn't that something that, with the intricate math that they use to calculate the orbit of the moon, or I don't know if I could call it an orbit, but just the scientific data that they use to calculate these things, tides and where the moon is, and what they use to sell us this narrative. But when putting something on that, do you think it was a little maybe dangerous.
Yeah, in their model,
Fuck with that thing.
it would be precarious. Like the way I see it, this whole thing is, it's not an object that could fall, but now they actually put it out there, and then at the same time, Elon Musk has a SpaceX rocket on a quote chaotic orbit from 2015, 4 tons, that's going to hit the moon next month and blow up. So
yeah, I just saw that today. I bookmarked it for my lecture. But so isn't that supposed to destroy the Earth?
in the movie it does, and so I'm thinking, wait a minute here. You're here questioning whether the moon's landable. We got Candace Owen saying there's no way NASA landed on the moon, and now this moon story. So it's like, wow, I wonder if they're going to do something.
Isn't Moonfall? Moonfall's going to take us to the moon. Isn't really what you think. I played the trailer on one of my streams. I think at the end, I don't know where they're going to go with it. I don't know if you know. But
No.
Something about that moon. It's going to. I believe it's going to. I don't know. It's a movie, but I'm guessing from what they said, it's going to be a dimensional portal of some kind. That's what I'm
fascinating. I might go down and watch it tonight. In fact, I wanted to check this one
out. It's out.
It just came out yesterday, I think, and so I'm going to go take a look because again, it's just the scrying mirror. Know what's coming up.
We
in the
have
future.
to watch it. It's our job, man. It's our job. We have to watch these things.
Awesome. Well, hey, Commander Lou, I'm really glad that we're able to touch base today. I've had you on for almost 50 minutes now, and
I'm sorry. I just wanted to tell you I was punished. I can't go live, and I don't want to do anything to upset YouTube. We're fighting it, but obviously that won't happen in time for us to come back. I'm coming back Wednesday or Thursday if anybody wants to come. 1 to 3, Crater Earth USA. That's it. That's all.
Crater Earth USA, awesome. And yeah, of course, we have you on a slot for everybody who doesn't know yet on darkmatter.radio. We pick up your live shows, and Dark Matter Radio is growing. So I'll probably play some of what I'll do Monday and Tuesday is I'll play during that slot some of our pre-recorded podcasts from Dark Matter Radio.
Wow, what a great idea! I really appreciate it, Tim. Tim, by the way, keep up the great work. You're doing an outstanding job out there. Really appreciate being a part of it. Astonishing and outstanding. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me on.
Like having you. Absolutely. Good talking to you, Commander Lou. Awesome. Always good talking to Commander Lou. I found him on YouTube on a video where he was speaking to his wife about how to break it to his family. They lived in a crater. And I was like, this can't be real. Is this hollow Earth? Where is he coming from? Nobody has this. Nobody's coming from this perspective. And, he explained God give Lansky and where this idea comes from. But we were already looking into alternative views of what the moon could be. Could it be a projection? And the main thing, though, the main component, and the reason why I reached out to him, is he's literally thinking outside the box. He recognizes that the world is, in all likelihood, bigger, which is a game changer. It's an open system as far as we know. Infinite till proven otherwise. Whereas the others, the globe, or the alternative models, hollow Earth or domed Earth, are closed systems. So it's not about flat or round. It's about open or closed, if you ask me. Let's see, Salty Siren says, great call. Echoed by Pippi Langstruff, Jenna Lovecraft, Clockwork 113. X322 says, salute at the commander. All right, excellent. Yeah, a whole lot of salutes. And if you look on the screen there, this is actually one of the items available in their spreadshirt. And this is the 3 Penguinati that were on the cover of the Patreon, and there's Commander Lou. So if you want to support, go to Crater Earth USA. I like Spreadshirt. I've seen their shirts, very high quality. You have aprons, Crater Baby, Crater Girl, Crater Bunny. Excellent designs. Crater Puppy. All right, anyway, Crater Earth USA. Glad to see you have that going because we have to find not only other ways to finance our work because the system is against us and you've just experienced a strike, but this is also a way to improve your search engine results and to maintain your foothold in their metaverse commerce. Nobody's going to censor your ideas on t-shirts. I like this one here, Pure Bloods. I've been wondering why Goo Bloods isn't popular. Nobody takes pride in that. I don't see Goo Bloods wearing a shirt. 100% goo. I am plugged in. All right, let's see. Going through some comments. Rich Flat says plain earth, plain ceiling. Flat earth, flat sky. Yeah, it could be. What time does Chief Crow come on? Someone asks. Now that you brought up Chief Crow, let me get that other voicemail. I know he left another message. But he's going to be live and I'll be getting a notification, and as soon as I get that, I'll make sure that all of you are there. We'll be in the chat. He's going to be handing out wrenches because the last time that he was live, he was beset with trolls, some kind of troll army, like literally they had, I think, man, it might have been 60 different trolls. By the way, I want to say shout out to and thanks to King TL purchasing one of the Penguin NFTs. So if you don't know what NFTs are, non-fungible tokens, it's a way of tokenizing artwork, digital artwork, and putting it into the blockchain. And it's one of these areas where we have already tapped into. So a lot of the art that I'm creating, a lot of the Infinite Plane Society stuff is already out there on the blockchain. Just another area that we don't want to cede any ground. We don't want to be left behind. And even though I'm not a participant in the world stage, we're still interacting with it. And it's, I think you have the choice. You can be informed, misinformed, or underinformed. If you don't pay attention to stuff because you know it's all BS, you're underinformed, which is not a position of strength. If you know about the BS, you're informed, which again is, I think, a much better place to be. Okay, here we go. I think this is the one. Infinite Plane Radio.
Yo, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, caller?
This is Mr. Stray.
Oh, hey, Mr. Stray. Yeah, saw you there in the chat. How you doing?
Yeah, this is Stray. Yeah, I'm doing good. Hey, man, I just wanted to call in and say, well, good work, obviously. Hey, man, you crack me up, dude. All that squib stuff, oh, my God, that stuff cracks me up. But, dude, I just want to give you a heads up about me putting out a new little album together soon, and
yeah,
I wanted to run the name by you, see how you felt about the name. It's gonna be dedicated as God, cold as a penguin. What you think about that?
Cult of the Penguin? That's actually
cold as a penguin. Dedicated as God, cold as a penguin.
Cold as a penguin. I like that. Actually, I like that a lot. And you said you could put an album together. What kind of music?
Well, yeah, it's that like the beat tape stuff that I work with. I do a lot of sampling and stuff.
Cool, absolutely, and yeah, we'll totally support that. And yeah, no, I like that. I like that. Dedicated as God, cold as a penguin.
Yeah, just because I've been just stuck with work and stuff. I've like try to be as interactive as possible, but it's kind of hard with my schedule. I'm just busy.
Oh, I believe it. But hey, I see all your chats, Mr. Stray. Yeah, your comments stand out. I definitely appreciate all that as well. We have all these people in the think tank, and to me, this is like an auxiliary Discord server, but it's out there in the public.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it, man. Like, it's seriously just the communication and how people connect is just something that you don't really see a lot of nowadays. I mean, especially nowadays, you know what I mean?
Right, you don't.
Now.
The media wants to be between every social interaction. They want to filter every meme. And so here we are, totally, I think, bypassing that by maintaining a continuity with our think tank.
Oh, absolutely, man. Like, it's so connected that, like, even while I'm listening or whatever, like, I'll just send links to my friends and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, just to get them listening. Like, you don't have to know anything for certain, but it's just about observing and just kind of having, like, a healthy skepticism. And people don't really understand that much. You know what I mean? People be tripping. Like, you just got to observe really everything. You can't just listen to what people are saying and take it verbatim, you know what I mean?
Yeah, which is why I really made that distinction between the auto believer and the auto hoaxer, where if you just automatically believe, you're just wide open to manipulation. You are a dupe. You're gullible. By definition, having faith in media is, I think, what we're looking at here. People are faithful that the media is not lying, and I think that's just it's anti-intellectual.
Absolutely, dude.
It's brainwashing.
It really is, because you're not leaving any space for anyone to even have the time to think or even the space to think. You know what I mean? It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, man. It's just I've been kind of listening to you for a while. Like late 2018, like early 2017, I kind of found you on D Live because I do a little bit of gaming and stuff, and I've always kind of been, I guess conspiratorial in the sense because I've always kind of had people in my life that were about that kind of stuff. I mean, I've been talking about reptilians with my friends since like middle school and eighth grade. Like,
So
I'm 31 now. I just turned 31 on this past Christmas, and it's like it's always kind of been there, and I never realized how much I was guardrailed myself until I kind of started listening to somebody who just observed and didn't really take everything for what it was.
Yeah,
You know?
that's I would say you're an observer, not a conspiracy theorist. And when you see an actual conspiracy to lie to the public and you observe it and you acknowledge it, they project and they call you a conspiracy theorist. It's like, no,
Oh,
you're
absolutely. Like as soon as I started, like, cause I say since I was about 24 or 23, like, have kind of messed with the idea of like flat Earth, right? But like, whenever I saw it in my head, just the idea of something that was flat when it came to where we were at, I always did see it as just like water's infinitely going and continents floating like amoebas in a sense, if that makes any
yes.
sense, right?
Hmm.
Like just in my head, that makes so much more sense to me than actual space, like going out into something we don't understand.
Yeah. In fact, the first person credited with predicting a total solar eclipse, which was 585 BC, was Miles, or no, Thales of Miltius or whatever. Thales, Thaeles,
Oh,
and he's
hmm
one of these sages of these Greek sages. But anyway, he believed that the Earth was a disk and that it was on an infinite plane of water. It's just floating on water.
hmm
There was no concept of a ball there.
Yeah, like yeah. It's funny that you say that because even when it comes to like a disc, I don't imagine anything flat like that in that sense. You know what I mean? Because the disc has to have a top and a bottom, regardless of how you see it. But like we don't know what's under us or how far the oceans even go, or we don't know how high we can even get. So really, you can't really, in that sense, you can't really pinpoint whether or not you're actually on a disc or whatever, but just the idea, like I just imagine a mass that I can't conceive going on for every direction, And anytime I would mention that, even while I was younger, because I was into like Hollow Earth, like I got into like Rodney Clough, and I was always looking up videos about Admiral Richard Byrd and like trying to keep my spirituality within it, like getting stuck within Dolores Cannon's bullshit, like random stuff like that, because I grew up really religious, and I would like to say that like I've grown to be less religious and more of a spiritual person. You get what I'm saying? Like I see
Absolutely.
more now that everything might be one, as opposed to like everything's polarized. Like you're either this or that. You're good or you're bad, or you're going to hell or heaven. It just religion itself already just seems co-opted, but like
Yeah, I've said so
it's all
too.
it's
That
all
organized religion looks like controlled opposition for spiritual awakeners. So you start waking up, you go to the first people who claim that they know what they're doing, and they can therefore gatekeep you. And when they box you in one religion,
absolutely.
well, they just blinkered you. And for me, my research, I was reading David Icke, and I didn't believe reptilians, but I understood how he arrived at that and what he meant by it.
Exactly, yes.
And so I'm like, okay, well, this connects a lot of things because now you're seeing connections between high level secret societies, high level with the military, high level with the media, and you can see the
Yeah.
stratification of knowledge. And that's what David Icke brought out for me was the capstone idea that you have a cabal and you control the flow of information all the way down. So you're ruling over ignorant people. They're rulers of darkness, and for them, darkness is just a way of describing the ignorance that the masses
Oh,
are in.
and people are really just silly to think that like everything isn't like things aren't controlled. Like absolutely everything that we can consume is something that is controlled by a source that we don't even really understand, whether it's government or something like reptilians or whatever. Like we don't even understand how it's coming down to us, but it is all controlled, and that's clear to see. But we just don't know where it's coming from, in a sense. And it's just that makes so much more sense to me. It's funny because I would always kind of because I did grow up religious and stuff, I try not to. It's just I have a hard time trying to speak without cursing and like letting my my normal tongue fly out. But like whenever I see that kind of stuff, it's like oh man, it just seems so controlled no matter what, not how you see it, no matter how you see
Look,
it.
it
So like it's like the
does.
first things I come to, like I completely would agree with it to a certain extent until I realized no, like how far back can stuff actually be? You know what I mean? How far back can stuff actually go?
Look,
It's just funny, man.
it bewilders me when somebody who's otherwise intelligent and educated says, "Why would they lie to us?" Like, like they don't get it. It's like,
Absolutely no.
have they read a history book? Are they aware of conquest, of slavery? I mean, just the fact that we had institutionalized ownership of human beings, total subversion of freedom. I mean, that tells
Oh
you, yes,
yeah.
human beings
I mean,
lie.
I'm a Mexican American man, so I grew up hanging out with a lot of brown and black people within my community, and like it was always a thing. Like something was always after us and stuff like that, and you know what I mean. But even when it comes to like like the Western hemisphere, it's even some of the earlier civilizations when they tell us where they came from, we're like what they would call brown and black people, and then all of a sudden they're telling everyone that you came from somewhere else or you were, you know what I mean? Like it's just all so diluted. You don't even know where to begin. But if you kind of just try to pay attention, you can see obviously they're trying to swing you a certain direction. It's all BS. Like mother effers don't really understand that you just kind of, people know how to talk sweet, bro.
They
Like
do. They do. Look, if you're on the
people
left,
really know how to talk sweet. Like I'm a very simple person, dog, and like as soon as it's real easy to talk sweet to someone and get what you want from them. It really is. Especially if you got someone as gullible as like falling for the TV. You know what I mean? Literally getting shot in the face, falling for the TV. The drill
yes.
can only fall so far. You
And
know?
what they do is they pander and they like Jimmy Kimmel, for example. He tells his audience, he's like, "You guys are the smart ones." He's complimenting them. He's
Oh,
elevating them above these
I
guys who are.
can't stand. Oh, man.
But
Stuff
that's
like
their
Jimmy
whole
Kimmel,
role.
all that like Saturday Night Live type like live entertainment stuff. It like I've seen more so than ever in my life, like listening to your channel, how people really do get messed with. Like like growing up, you would hear about people getting chased and like celebrities or this or that, like getting like they feel like something's after them, or people were getting blacklisted, and you can't even, dog. I can't even post your shit on my Instagram without these without them like just like putting something up about how I can't post it or something like that. You know what I
I
mean?
know
It's like the weirdest thing, and people really think it's not a thing, but it really is, even at the basic level.
Yeah,
You
look,
know?
if Infinite Plane Society, let's say for some reason it went viral, and you're on Facebook and you type in infiniteplanesociety.com to share it, Facebook will block you. Like they have put up
Oh yeah,
walls
absolutely.
to stop us and what we're talking about in this think tank that's been ongoing for a few years now. They don't want this breaking out because, well, we tend to, I think, have an effect, and so they literally can't play fair with
Yeah.
us. They can't play fair with
Dog,
me.
I've sent links to people, and like I told people what to search, like my friend, like people that I know, and they're like, "This is what's coming up," and it's like, dude, that's not even what I'm trying to get them to try to, like it's not even steering them in that direction.
It used to be
Like
worse.
it's absolutely just, oh man,
If you used to
it's
search for me,
ridiculous.
you would find nothing but hate videos put up by trolls. But in the last year,
Yeah.
I've made a really strong effort to spread out laterally. I'm registered with Google Businesses. I'm on like 50 podcast platforms. So now if you search Infinite Plane Radio, you actually find it. And more than half of the listeners are on Audible and Apple. So they've never even been here to YouTube. So we're bringing people
Yeah.
in now. So all their attempts, I think, are coming down to nothing at this point. We're kind of building back up.
Well, yeah, because they can't stop the flood, dude. Low key, like I don't think they counted on so many people. Like they done fucked up giving everyone phones. You know what I mean? And like smartphones really is like what I think about it. Like they didn't really count on people actually like trying to record what's going on all the time, hearing people's voices all the time, and like having stuff out. It's getting kind of hard for them to start creating more and more deep fakes when people just keep coming out with more and more. It's like it's hard for them to keep up. You know
Agreed.
what I mean?
Agreed.
And
That's why
you can see it. You
they,
can see it. It's like they're shuffling for stuff to grab every time something new comes out. And half the time it's something that the Discord and you were discussing. You'll be talking to people, dog, and it cracks me up because you'll be like, oh, yep, that does make sense. And then the next day it's like people, your shit's getting taken down the moment you thought of it. So they're trying to stun it from the moment it even leaves your lips. You know what I mean? It's the
Yes.
trippiest thing.
It's like we're looking at glitches in the
It,
matrix, and they're watching us to see what we exposed. Like they ought to send us paychecks for doing some kind of kind of a white hat analysis of their security of their system. But
Absolutely. That's what I mean. Dedicated as God, cold as a penguin, because we're dedicated as the gods that think they control us when they really do not. We are the ones who are in control of what we're gonna see, what we're gonna really understand. Does that make sense?
it does.
Like
It really
we
does.
we are the ones who are creating what we are seeing. When we observe something, we create the thoughts that put those pieces together, and that's what's making them the god, because they are doing that for absolutely everybody else, while we're the ones thinking for ourselves.
That's true. They are the
Does that make sense?
architects. Yes, they set the parameters for
Absolutely.
everybody's life. They set the world stage. They define what goes on and what does not go on the world stage. And anything that's border,
Yep.
they censor. And then they keep shrinking the world of ideas. So we are looking at this thing, I think, from the perspective of they're looking at a closed universe of ideas, and we're recognizing it for what it
Hey,
is.
I was gonna ask a question too. A while, and I mean it was a while back. It has to be at least 2 years now. But like when I kind of first started listening to you, like it was around the same time. It give or take 6 months to like a year. But there was this guy who was like, he'd called in, right, and he was kind of like tripping, and I could hear it in your voice. You kind of wanted to try to chill him out, but he was like a content moderator for some website, and he was just tripping out, dude. Like the dog was just tripping, and he was like, you don't understand what they're trying to block and what they're trying to show at the same time. And and I like it dawned on me like this dude really has a job where he's content moderating, and they're telling him what he has to watch and what he has to see. It's literally messing with him psychologically, but he is the one in control of what's getting put out or what's
Yes.
not getting put
Yes,
out.
that was a guy.
And it dawned
Yes.
on me. I was like, man, this dude is like for real. Like he's going through it. You can hear it in his voice that he's shocked by what he has to do, and it was messing with him. And I realized at that point, while I was listening to your show, okay, this isn't just me and my ideas of infinite plane, like coincidentally working with him. You know what I mean? Like because I agreed with what you were saying and stuff. But when I kind of started listening more and more, you realize that it's kind of a real thing. You know what I mean? And it's kind of gone that far, because it's really ridiculous that you get your channel like buffed or whatever, and then I'll be on Facebook or Instagram, and I'm literally watching videos of people getting stabbed in the neck and shot. Like, how is that okay?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. He was
It's
working
the
for.
wildest shit. Like, this is stuff that I've seen this kind of stuff on the streets, and I would never wish it on my worst enemy. And like, these dudes are just, whoever it is, are allowing this stuff to be all over it. But then you got people who are literally, dog, this fool, whoever is doing that NFT stuff on your Instagram and stuff, like stealing your content, and like this dude is getting paid.
Oh, okay,
There's
yeah.
no way
For
he is
I-
that stupid.
For people who
There's
don't
no way
know,
this nigga is that
yes,
stupid, bro.
I'm glad
Like,
you can
there's
speak
no
on that.
way.
Yeah, for people who don't know, there is a guy who's actually trying to appropriate our mascot, research flat Earth, exploring again, even just basically trying to appropriate it. So I messaged him on Instagram and I say, hey, what are you doing here? And the guy just totally gaslit me. But I looked, and everybody on his Twitter account, they're all anti-flat earthers, and I don't know who he is, but he's clearly some kind of a troll or something.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Like, dog, that kind of person is seriously. If he was in an actual, real, physical group with 4 or 5 people, and he got called out for that, he would have nowhere to go. But it's
Precisely.
just so funny that he doesn't have anything other than he has the wall of the Matrix just literally protecting him, and it's the trippiest shit because they know they can get away with it, so that's why they spend so much money just trying to buff all of our stuff when we're not even really saying anything other than how you explain it, like it's observation.
Well, I thought that guy was
People
probably.
mistake
They want to take what we're doing and get in front of it. And they realize because when we started the penguin meme, the whole idea was we all get the penguin avatar, we do the chat raids, get people to talk flat earth. And he stole that concept. He said, these NFT penguins can be an avatar. to get people to talk about flat Earth. And he claimed not to know of
Mhm.
us, even though he's stealing our entire concept. And so this is very
Oh,
typical of what
absolutely.
they do. But this just makes me realize, look, they know that when we chose the penguin, and this was a group thing, we chose the penguin as a mascot for the very specific reasons of its position on the Earth and other symbolic
Yep.
reasons. And we realize at some point, when people make this association, it's going to lead back to us and the most advanced,
Mhm.
cutting edge ideas on this topic. So I think that the powers that be know they got to control these memes.
Oh, they got you because once they have people like that dickhead who's doing all that stuff with all the stuff that the Discord's doing, it's like once if imagine he got traction and he kind of which isn't gonna happen. There's no way, dude. But like, say he kind of got ahead of you a bit in the game, he could just co-opt it and literally steer anybody which way he wanted.
True,
He's already
true.
stealing
Look,
content, so no
some
matter what, once he has control, he's just gonna do whatever the fuck he wants. And it's kind of annoying, you know what I mean? Like that dude knows what he's doing.
they
There's
know what
no
they're
way. I
doing.
just wanted to
Look,
give you a heads up on that. He knows what he's doing, dude.
no, you're right. I take it very seriously, and I've made myself very well aware of the various trademark and copyright laws, and I have a suit drafted if I need it. But no, this is a real thing. I have an individual who's been stealing domains to steer people away from this channel, and it's because they know the potential. Before they started stepping on us, we went from 0 subs to 6,000 in like 6 weeks. Then there was a period in 2018 where we had 11,000 subs in 4 weeks, and then we got taken down for one video. So if they weren't actively suppressing us, we'd have 100,000 people.
Oh, bro, you would, no doubt. There's no way because I mean, you seem like a very intelligent man. Like you seem like someone that's easy to talk. Well, obviously, you know what I mean. But like you're just easy to talk to. You're very understanding, and you're not just gonna dog someone for what they think. I hear it all the time. Like you seriously, you have the most respectful intellect that I've ever heard on somebody.
I
Like you know how to
appreciate that.
talk to people. You don't disrespect them. You know what I mean? Like, and it's really hard to say that for people because I'm not that way whatsoever. As soon as you think you're gonna talk over me, I'm like, okay, I'm about to just tear you up type type of
You know,
guy. You know
I,
what I
I
mean?
spent some time before this. I was deep into telemarketing. I was working for DirecTV, and I think I was the only person there who didn't believe that there was an actual satellite up there giving us our magic movies. And I was selling government propaganda all day, and I was dealing with people who were mad about being scammed. So I had to do de escalation. So I got used to the idea of mad people calling in, mad at me because I'm the face of DirecTV, and then being
Yeah.
friendly, and then eventually talking about something off topic just to kill time. And so, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think that it's important to be able to disagree with people, even if you hate somebody, and to be able to have rational discourse so people can hear
Absolutely,
impartially.
absolutely. It's kind of a lost art, the art of conversation. Honestly, that's why, like I said earlier, like it makes you appreciate when you find a community such as yours where they just want to discuss. Like if you're gonna get all ranty and get all mad and stuff, it's like you're not even gonna have any space to talk because that's not what's going on here. We're trying to talk about stuff at a reasonable height. You know what I mean? It's just it's. I mean, I really respect that about you. It's funny, man, because I try to talk to people all the time when it comes to satellites. They're convinced they saw the Starlink satellites, and they're like, "Oh man, you just don't understand how big it is. Like the sun is still gonna shine on them, even though it's underneath the umbra." And I'm like, "Well, and I don't give them math because I'm not a very smart guy. You know what I mean? I love to listen, and I'll take, but like I don't know how to explain things too well unless I'm really thinking about it. But like I understand how big the Earth is. I mean, for what they give us, like the simple things and they just it doesn't even occur to them that they're wrong. Like like the math that they're using is the science that they're using is the science that I'm agreeing with, and I'm just trying to show the discrepancies within it, and they still cannot see it. Like the
Yes.
random, like Doug, it's really as simple as this: if the sun's not shining on those fucking satellites, they're not gonna shine. You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna see any light coming off of them. It's really that simple. There's no light for them to reflect. You know what I mean?
And I didn't
And
know.
it goes.
Look, I didn't
It's
know
the same
anything.
thing for the size of the Earth too. If you can't see things in the distance, if you turn a corner, if you're walking around a corner, Tim, I'm not going to see you unless I walk around that corner with you.
Yes, and
Does that make
yeah,
sense?
it does because the instant the satellite passes the Terminator line, where it goes from day
Yeah.
to night, they've turned a corner on that light source. for all intents and purposes. And it is, I didn't know that we had an 870,000 mile shadow. I didn't know that the moon was in a synchronous orbit, tidally locked with a 27-day rotation. I didn't know anything about the solar system. I didn't know how flat the solar system was until I
Dude,
looked at flat Earth.
Loki, I'm the same way. I'm gonna say I was the same way, and I say that too earlier because I was like, when talking about the crater Earth and stuff. Now, like when I hear stuff about like crater Earth, it makes sense because I can imagine a continent having like the size of a mountain. Like if the mountain wasn't there, like a hole, like a crater, like an indent in the Earth. That makes sense. You know what I mean? As far as when it comes to how I imagine the infinite plane going, if we really are just spores on top of water just floating, right? But when it comes to like like man, I ate stuff up like Hollow Earth and everything, and I realize now those are guardrails in themselves because I took all that hook, line, and sinker, but it was all in context to the idea that I still believed that I was a ball spinning somewhere that I did not understand. Like, you know what I mean? So the Hollow Earth still made sense because in my head it's like, okay, it's still round, you just go inside.
Yes.
But like that's the perfect example of a guardrail. I try to explain to people that kind of stuff all the time. You know what I mean? And I'll tell. Oh man, that whole 9/11 thing with the no planes, like that's something that I've known since even like because I remember watching like Loose Change, and there was this one 24-hour video I remember watching with all my boys back in the day, and it was just it's all just jokes, skeptical talk and stuff like that, but like soon after watching all that kind of stuff, I saw, oh, well, they're just putting the airplanes in. And now I say that to people all the time. I'm like, okay, well, do you believe 9/11's an inside job? And it's almost always, yes, it was an inside job. And it's like, okay, well, what if I told you there weren't any planes? And they're just like, what?
Yeah,
Like
exactly. The
imagine,
guardrail.
they almost can't imagine that somebody lit, exactly, the perfect guardrail. They almost can't imagine that what they're seeing isn't it's put together for them to watch it how it was, you know what I mean? And there's so much proof, dude. Like there's so many. I mean, I was sending videos to my friends of people literally, dude. I was like, man, they're arguing about how there was planes, people saw planes. I'm like, okay, let me show you these 3 videos. All I need is 3. The guy in the fucking the parking garage, the guy that was on, and the 2 guys that were on ground level that were looking up, literally looking up. And it's like they watched it blow up and they didn't see any planes. It's like that's proof enough for me. And they just refuse, like they don't wanna hear it. I'm like, dude, this video is literally showing you, dog, there's no planes whatsoever. They're talking on the phone. And the guy in the parking garage, that video, I love that because he's on the phone telling them, no, what are you talking about?
Yeah, on the phone, the guy says, "Is there a
any
plane?" He
planes.
says, "There's no plane. There's no plane. Just an explosion."
Yeah,
And
he's literally saying no, and they're trying to convince him. They're trying to literally convince his eyes of something that they didn't see. You know what I mean?
it's too far for them.
And that's what I mean by people just know how to talk nice, bro. Like that's what I mean when people know how to talk nice, and it goes down all to the simplest level. The easiest guardrails ever. And like stuff like Hollow Earth, like I can imagine that it's cool. You know what I mean? Like and obviously, like I said before, I was like a religious dude, so like Hollow Earth has a lot of ties with the last 10 tribes of Israel ran inside and all this and that, and it's like, of course I took it for what it was. You know what I mean? Like I almost feel foolish to say it because I never really even thought about space in the context that I do now. Even that, I would watch Cosmos and be like, man, that's beautiful, dude. I'm like, and then I'm playing games that have better graphics as I'm getting older and realizing, what the fuck is this? Like,
Yes, that's
people are all just. It's like I'm playing games and watching cartoons that have better graphics than what they're showing you.
Yeah, that's why I was saying this yesterday. They have to make sure that they don't have kids who are too aware of how fake NASA
Yep.
looks because they have to curate them. Like when Kamala Harris met with those kids to talk about NASA, they were all chosen based on their questions in advance because the children or the people growing up today ought to know. Just compare what you play in your video games, what you see in your movies, to the
Yeah,
ISS.
dude, I love that. I love those videos of like Buzz Aldrin getting asked questions by a kid. He's like, "Oh, that's not a question a kid would ask." It's like, well, why not? This kid is smarter than you already. If he's asking you the question, you freaking dip. You little freaking scumbag.
Well,
It's
I
just the
think
funniest thing.
I think we're at an interesting time though, where those of us who are paying attention can see the clear CGI, and we can see through this
Oh
thing.
yeah,
And I'm refusing.
absolutely. I can't even see. There'll be ISS videos of like the satellites and stuff or whatever, and I'm just like, that doesn't even look real to me. It just doesn't even look real. But people are still falling for it. I mean, it's kind of amazing.
But what we have here with this think
You
tank
know?
here is now you're not alone in isolation with everybody and every source contradicting you. So we're able to
Yep.
maintain a discussion of this stuff impartially and objectively. And we have a higher standard of evidence than the average person who trusts the monolith that tells them what to think. So, yeah, I'm
Oh,
glad.
absolutely. And it doesn't even have to be like we caught you with the hatchet in your hand. It's literally, we're just like, okay, well, there's literally 5 coincidences tied to this event, whichever it is. I mean, you can choose whichever one you want, Tim. It doesn't matter because you have enough already. If there's if it walks and talks like a fucking duck, it's gonna quack like one. You know what I mean? It is a duck. It's a fucking duck.
Yep. Ian Fleming said, one time happenstance, twice as coincidence, 3 times enemy action. And we see 3 or 4 or
Yep.
5 layers of coincidences with every event. And that tells you, no, there's some high level scripting going on. This is all choreographed, and the news isn't what the public thinks it is.
That's what it is, man. Somebody punks you enough and takes your bike more than 3 times, it's not your bike anymore.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And so if somebody you keep falling for the same dude, your family member, friend, or whatever, asking for money, you keep falling for it. It's obviously not good. You know what I mean? If there's something up.
Yes.
You
And
know?
for me, anybody who fell for 2020 hook, line, and sinker, they've had more than enough time to see through it. And at this point, I'm mostly focused on the
Oh
people who have
man.
seen through it. And there's enough of us
Dude,
now.
we're 2 years deep into this, and like I haven't. I mean, I'll wear a mask if I have to, because I like to smoke and stuff. So I'm like, I'm not trying to get kicked out of the weed store if I'm trying to get an eighth or whatever. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm wearing my mask and shit. But like half the time when I'm going to like the grocery store or something, I'm not about to put my mask on or nothing like that. And since everything's been going down, given the information that they gave us, I love how you're like people getting kicked in the face by Kung Flu Dog. That shit cracks me up
Yeah,
because
yes,
that's
yes.
what they were showing us.
They showed us
Literally, we
people
should all be
falling.
dead. Especially like the people on this channel, given the numbers they were projecting, literally half the population should be dead by now, before the vaccines even came out. Given how they were like convincing people you're just gonna drop dead and die the moment you breathe something in that you can't even see.
Oh,
And
yes,
that's
yes.
how they got everybody. Like I try to tell people even now, I'm like, dude, I'll tell them how I stand, like just how like I just did you, and it's like I should be dead right now. You're literally looking at a miracle if you want to believe this. You're still here, my girl's still here, my cat's still here. I mean, they had everybody so scared. My mom was like, "Don't let the cat outside." She come over to my house. She's like, "Don't." How's Crush? My cat's name is Crush. How's Crush? How's Crush baby doing? Oh, don't let him outside because he's gonna get you sick. I'm like, Mom, don't even come over here if you're gonna be. I literally, and I'll speak to anybody this way because if you're, bro, I love people and I love my mother, I love my friends, whoever it is. But if you're dumb enough to act as if I don't understand how to think for myself, then don't come around. It's just like if people are really afraid of still getting sick, like you just don't even have to go out. You know what I mean? If you really
Yes,
believe it,
that's actually true. I
you
said this
know?
before. Like, if you truly believe the science of lockdowns, then you should be locked down voluntarily, not waiting for a mandate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, these are the people who, if there's a mandate, they'll say you better lock down too. So it's like, wait, why don't you
Yep.
lead by example if you truly believe it? If you truly
Mhm.
believed it, you'd be too scared to leave your house even today.
Dude,
And it's nothing
Doug,
like,
I'm like working for a multi-billion-dollar company, right? Like making what's called Hardy board for this company named James Hardy, and they're super high up, so they got to do everything. They got to go by the guidelines and stuff. But man, these people, they're giving people incentives. They're literally telling people you can't get hired unless you get vaccinated. But the people that are actually already working there, they're like, dude, we'll give you a $500 bonus if you get this vaccine. Like
bribery. Yes.
bribery. Like I am not that dumb. You know what I mean? Like I get it. You know what I mean? Like they just want people. They're scared. And I get it too. People are only human. They're gonna be scared because they don't understand. But how far are you gonna go to accepting somebody's ignorance? You know what I mean? You can't just allow people to control how you think, and that's kind of where this is all at. You know?
It's allowing other people's fear to control your behaviors. And I'm not like if other
Mm-hmm.
people are afraid to breathe the air, doesn't mean I should stay home. But they're trying to suggest that the collective gets to mandate individual risk. No more individual risk
Exactly.
takers.
Yeah, dude, and it kind of does work though, because like especially when it comes to like my mother's case, right? Like she was scared, and so I told her, don't even come around, don't even go outside if that's the case, right? Don't pet my cat, don't even come over to my house. And it kind of made her think twice, like, why? Okay, so if really I am scared, there really is no reason why I should be outside. You can see the cogs turning in people's heads sometimes, but not all the time. You know what I mean? But it does work. Like it does kind of work in a sense, but I mean that's just crazy. There's a couple more. I mean, as far as the mask and stuff go, it's like, come on, man. That's
Yeah,
just all
I
ridiculous.
mean,
We're 2 years deep. It's almost like it's not like beating a dead horse now when it comes to us and like even analyzing that stuff anymore. It's just about showing people, I guess.
it's a
You just got
fascist
to show them the information.
it's a fascist fashion statement and always has been. It's basically a face garment for the new religion. And I think the
Yeah.
people who actually believe in it are dupes, and the people who wear it because they have to get their weed are well appraised of
Hmm.
what it actually is. It's all just it's just a politeness now.
It cracks me up because it's like I choose my spots. You know what I mean? And it just cracks me up because I have to choose my spots. It's almost ridiculous. You know, it's like I'm not gonna go to Safeway down the street because every time I go, they bug about my mask. But when I go to the Safeway, that's maybe a 3 miles more of a drive. The workers there don't really seem to be tripping so hard, so I'll just show up without my mask.
You know what I
And
think?
really, regardless, I'm making them put my mask on every time. I'm gonna walk in there, guns blazing, in a sense, and you're gonna have to. I'm not gonna fight you, but if you're scared enough to tell me to put it on, I guess I will, because I'm not trying to make a scene.
Well, after
You know what I mean?
9/11, the way that you told everybody that you were in solidarity in the war against terror, against the terrorists, you put a American flag bumper sticker on your car.
Yeah.
Let's roll, and
Hmm.
you waved your flag. That's virtue signaling. I support the war on this invisible enemy. And now the way that you signal it is waving your mask. The mask is
Yep.
just a way of signalizing your agreement with this war against this new enemy, and it's virtue signaling. You're
It
patriotic.
really is. It really is.
And it's interesting how
Yeah,
the anti-war
man,
left
I
became
have
the
so much I can talk about honestly because I have friends that are in the medical industry who like they'll literally be posting stuff, and I'm not gonna say any names because they're my friends and shit, but they'll post stuff going along with the narrative that obviously everyone's listening to, right? But then when I'm sitting across the dinner table from them while I make dinner for everybody, and then we have a house full of people, these same people under their breath will just smirk and laugh about it. And I'll literally just like, dude, shut the fuck up. I'm not trying to hear it. And they'll just smirk like, yeah, I know. But then as long as what the actual people are seeing when it comes to their media and what they want their job to notice, they're still going along with it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's the
absolutely.
weirdest
It
thing. It's
is.
the weirdest
It's
thing. And that's how I know for sure it's I mean, I already know for sure, but it's just little things like that. It cracks me up.
the mask of the beast. No,
It
it's a
cracks
very
me Oh, don't even say that. I love that. I love that song, dude.
yeah, I know. And in fact,
That's my jam.
I think Chief Crow actually is going to be live here shortly tonight too. So yeah, that
Yeah, yeah.
song
I mean,
came
I
out.
was waiting on that. Oh man.
I'm like, that's the kind
Go
of
ahead.
song, though. This is why I think the music's important. Because I can say stuff, get censored. Commander Lou got censored. Chief Crow puts the same sentiments into a song that's extremely catchy. And that's the kind of thing they got to
Mhm.
worry about. Because if the song Mask of the Beast went viral, it would do a lot of damage because people listen to the lyrics, would reverse engineer it, and it goes way against the grain
Mhm.
because they got people like Eminem rapping for putting on the mask. So it's like this is the
I
only
don't
true
even know what
counter.
to say about that. I said that's just so funny, man. Because I'll listen to even older stuff, and even the like older '90s music. Because I was born in '90s, so I kind of heard everything growing up from '95 to up until now, you know. And it's like I'll listen to the older stuff, and it almost sounds like, man, they were really getting everybody prepped for stuff that I don't even think they understood at the time. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Because when it comes to like, especially the music industry, it's like you can have a bunch of songs, but no matter what, somebody's gonna listen to those songs, to that music, and they are choosing what you are allowed to put out as long as you're underneath anybody's label. That's just how it is.
Yeah,
No matter what.
there is some creative control exerted by this
It is. That's
monolithic
why. That's
thing.
why it's always like There's always like a problem for an independent artist because they want as much creative control as possible. They don't want anybody telling them no, you can't put this or that out. But these people, they've already given up to the money, so they can't say no. You know what I mean? It's like, nope. Well, I guess we're putting these songs out. I guess our album's not going to sound the way we want it. I guess we got to put these out. You know?
And this
It's
this
like
explains
it's
the
just funny, man.
uniformity. This explains how we see predictive programming consistent in the music, in the movies, in the comics, in the games, everywhere. It's because this is why I say cult of the monolith. There's this a
Yep.
monotheistic new religion, monoatheistic religion. It's just this new, not even a god, this AI thing, but whatever it is, it requires that everybody's on the same sheet in terms of their worldview. And all of the artists have been co-opted to this. All the novels, the books, the Tom Clancy. In fact,
Oh, all the blue check. Oh, dude, all the blue check marks and everything, dog. Like when somebody's putting out music, everybody loves these people like idols for real. It's ridiculous. Like they don't even understand. Like they think that the artist really just that's all they wanted to put out. Like they put it out for me. But no, they everything that they put out was something that was controlled by the labels that they are under. And depending on what label you are, I mean, when it comes to the higher celebrities, when it comes to music, you're not putting anything out unless they want it. And I don't think people understand that. They just, it's just they take everything that they're saying already, like with no salt. You got to take everything with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. I don't think people understand how controlled an artist and stuff like that, like their favorite celebrities and all their gods really are.
no
You know?
way. They're all puppets to some degree or another without even knowing it. And
Absolutely.
they would have no way
Without
of
even
knowing.
knowing it. Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. They don't even like that's what's funny because for a while here I was like almost upset at a specific artist or specific artist about doing something else or like a movie star saying this or that or whatever. But then I didn't it just didn't really occur to me that maybe they don't have as much control as they look like they have. You know what I mean? Like they really don't. So they don't even understand the level of things that they're doing. You know?
No, I remember, like, look, at the beginning of COVID, Cardi B came out and she accused all these other celebrities of faking it for money. And she said, if you are faking it, let me in. I got to pay for some more liposuction. Next thing you know, she's a
Oh,
big
yep.
advocate for Pfizer and she's all about it. So
Yep.
I think that they're not all 100% puppets. They're gate kept and they're corralled. And if one of them gets out of line, they can fix them really quick. And she knew something was up.
Oh, they can. Dog, it's as easy as a phone call. These people have no lives. Like, you just think about it as an artist standpoint, dude. How much time do you really have? Think about it, Tim. Like, even when it comes to my artwork, I don't have any time, bro. But these people, literally, all their time is spent by being connected to these certain people who are telling them what to do. They definitely don't have no fucking time.
Yep. Do you remember a couple of months ago, Greta Thunberg was sending an email and or a tweet account. She was tweeting on her Twitter account, and she posted something that was some kind of instructions for what she was supposed to say. So she posted her
Hmm.
working orders for the day on Twitter by accident. And it's true that David Hogg's mom controls his Twitter account. I don't know if that ever changed.
Oh, fuck. That's funny, man. David Hogg.
But hey, Mr.
Every
Stray,
time I think of David Hogg, I think of Owen Benjamin, and oh man, that's just ridiculous, man.
Okay, David Hogg is just another one of these characters made for the world stage, and we called it, I
Yep.
think, keeping up with the crisis actors. There's so many of these characters, and it's like its
Oh
own
man,
TV show.
have you done a South Pole episode on something like that? That
We
is
should
funny.
keeping up with the crisis act. We should because
Keeping up with the crisis actors, like almost like a reality set.
it
Like
pretty much
everyone's just
is.
trying to fighting over what scene they're gonna get and who they're gonna dupe and yeah, that man, holy shit, that would be
That actually would be
pretty funny.
fantastic because
That would.
because we kind of called it that because we've been keeping up with all these different characters, and over time it's like this is like a parallel soap opera as we watch these characters
Hmm.
roll out and stuff, and it's definitely just reality TV. But Hey,
Yeah.
I look forward to see what you're doing with your music and
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to run that by. I don't want to keep you too much, but I just wanted to run that by you. Also, but one thing before I go, I caught like this you know that "We're Not Gonna Take It" song,
yes, Twisted
right?
Sister. Yeah.
That you've been talking about, dude. I just when you mentioned that earlier, it just occurred to me that even like there's like I'm just gonna start looking for where I can find it, but even in like Dave Chappelle's "Killing 'Em Softly" stand up, "Killing 'Em Softly" of all words, it's just funny to me that he's just really killing them softly. I think it just has more meanings than one, but he references that song even in one of his stand-ups. I got to do more of the math on it, but it looks like it's around the 8:40-50 mark where he even mentions it.
Interesting.
And
Interesting.
it's one of his early stand-ups too. It's like his 90s. It's one of the stand-ups in his 90s or early 2000s. But I mean, I put the link and stuff just so that you guys can see the video. Maybe decode it yourself. You know, it's kind of hard for me to
Could
get.
be. Look, Dave Chappelle had that thing, the 27-minute special on Netflix called 846, and he's connected to that
Yeah.
number with the time he was born, and then he brought this up himself, and then he's repeating a historical role his great great grandfather had in fighting for civil rights and stuff. And talk
Yeah.
about Chappelle, but the numbers and the code, it tells you that no, this is part of the big script because
It
9/11
really is.
was encoded with this even George Floyd thing, the same writers. So they knew there was going to be a Memorial Day killing in that sense, in that form, with the asphyxiation. They
Oh,
knew that was
bro,
going to
like
happen decades
but
ago.
more than 20 to 30 years ago. You've already,
Yep.
dog. You have so much that we've already seen so much that we already know that. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. And I just want, yeah, dedicated as God, cold as a penguin. Dedicated as God, cold as a penguin is gonna be the title of this new little project I wanted to put out for you and for everybody on the Discord. Because really, it's for you guys and it's for all of us to just because we love to just have that art there and just that kind of blood flowing, you know what I mean? And I really appreciate that,
Yeah, absolutely. Same
you
here.
know?
Same here. And I think that having a lot of creative types around it reinforces. You have echo chambers, and whatever you're around, your influences tend to
Oh,
impact
and
what you do.
dog, beyond all your like how you doing hosting all this and stuff, dude. Like your art is dope, dude. Like keep that up, man. Like I love what you draw. I love how you draw. Like it's very unique. It's very it's just you can tell it's coming from an individual. You know what I mean? Like it's coming from you. You know, I just like seeing when you post art and stuff.
Thanks.
Yeah, post more of your art, dude. I like seeing that around. I like messing with it on my phone and stuff. I like having it as my background. It's just it's just cool, man.
I'll
I
keep it
mean
up. Look,
I appreciate everything. Yeah.
yeah, for people who don't
Go
know,
ahead.
when this channel was started, we were raising money for Mad Mike's Rocket, and one of the ways that I would raise money faster, I had Super Chat, and I said anybody who donates at least $50 or $20 or whatever will get one of these paintings. So I was doing those live penguin paintings in order to get more people to participate. And so yeah, the
Mhm.
art, and then after that, I think that July we did an art show, and art has always been a part of this channel. The art, the memes, the music, and now animation. South Pole, like you mentioned.
Yeah, hey, dude. Keeping up with the crisis actors, dog. That would kill me. That would kill me. And some of the South Pole stuff is pretty choppy and stuff. It gets kind of hard for me to watch at times, but like I'll still watch it, and it still cracks me up, man. Like it's just funny because as long as you get the lexicon and you're part of the group, you understand what it is, you know, that we're trying to come out with. You know,
Yep, and
it's awesome.
the
It's
plan is
awesome.
long term. We have a vision, so we know that season one
Yep.
looks a little crop and droppy, but we're all new, and eventually
Yeah.
we're going to
Yeah.
be Pixar level at some point in the future.
Yep.
It's just a matter of
That's
time.
exactly how I see it in my head.
So hey, good
Anyway,
talking.
hey man.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Likewise,
Good talking
brother.
to you.
Likewise, brother. You have a great night.
All right, everybody, that's Mr. Stray. You often see him in the chat. Very hard to miss, actually. I read a lot of his comments. Pretty much everyone here. So yeah, absolutely. And yeah, the art is not stopping. And in fact, I just went to the library yesterday and I picked up a book on urban watercolor because I do these drawings with based on a single line, unicursal one line drawing, various things. And I found a book that has an approach that I think I'm going to use to filling them in with color. It's a watercolor illustration technique. And then I'm also developing a lot of these NFTs. These are digital art pieces. And so this one here, and all of these are going to be at timosman.win. So if you're new to the NFT thing or you haven't really looked into it, This would be an easy way to get in, to get your digital asset portfolio started with some Infinite Plane Society art. And my point is to get as many of these out there as I can. And by the way, on the 24/7 stream, I'm giving out free NFT links all the time. And the reason why is the more of us that have these, the better. Rich Flat says, great caller. Rourke says, Mr. Stray rocks. Thinks he's a penguin says, I like the choppiness of it. We call it crop and drop deepfake. Crop and drop deepfake. I think he's onto something, keeping up with the crisis actors as the next episode. Let me go ahead and take a look through my memes here. And I don't want to miss Chief Crow. In fact, I think I have a message from Chief Crow from earlier. Let me go ahead and play this voicemail. If I can find this really quick here. Again, appreciate everyone calling, especially those. I'm leaving messages as well. You know, you're always welcome to leave messages here. And I get to them live, but if I don't, I will definitely get to them and put them on a short clip. Let me go ahead and play this one. I had two from Chief. So one, he mentioned he was playing. I think this is the same. Here we go.
I heard a beep. 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 Beep, 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 yeah. Baby, you can drive my penguin. Yes, I'm gonna be a pine cone. Baby, you can drive my penguin. You can borrow my pug. Take it for a walk. Pug, 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 yeah. Okay. Beep, beep.
All right, that would be Chief Crow, who's going to be live here shortly. So I'll make a point to drop a link in the 24/7 stream. I want to say thanks everyone to the think tank for participating and chatting. And of course, if you like any of these images, I see somebody here pointed out the Spinguinati, the penguin spinning on the disc. I will make these available. So like I said, everybody wants to get started on their NFT wallets, this is the place. And I have to bring this up one more time because this is a fact. Fact, the other four-lettered F word they don't want you to use. Flat, fake, and fact. UK first lockdown announced 3/23/2020. Announcement of the end of restrictions 1/19/2022. Total days of restrictions 666. What do you make of that? All right, everyone, this is Chief Crow, Where's the Curve? Join the newsletter, and we'll see you in the chat soon.
Where is the curve? keep it real, that's a profession. Like the whole world is pretending. Found the truth around the penguin. Get a gang on with a blessing. All the other gang are stressing. RPSC on a nesting. Only real ones gonna get this. Fake ones only accept this. They can miss the message. Timbuktu got bodies, yeah. Find them in our records. Auto host a message. Squad are represented. Killing you with knowledge, yeah. The uppers getting dirty. Oh, you're so effective. Cause we're so effective. Let go of your worries, yeah. The whole thing is a stutter. We got it and we get it. Offering refreshment. Level up your conscience, yeah. It's honestly the essence. This wave is uncontainable. Facts are undebatable. You lanes are unrelatable. Give a fuck about saving you. We could keep on playing you. You just keep complaining too. Game is unescapable unless you're with the gang or no.
Messing with the penguin. We're messing with the penguin. 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 Fucking with the penguins. Yeah, with the penguins. I'm coming with a vengeance, trying to make you come to your senses. Forget the general consensus, just pay attention. The rules that has paid for good intentions. I'm clenching my back wrenching, representing only the most superior, independent media. We got that real shit fucking encyclopedia. We're bringing an end to this mass hysteria. They wanna know why it's so serious, cause you must be delirious. If you're still believing stuff, get a grip and show some evidence for your bold claims. We don't play no games, we stay relentless, exposing those events. Quick, the IPS are making an entrance. Busting doors down, cause now's the time for interventions that I mentioned. We're affecting so many men across the spectrum. We stand out from the crowd, we don't blend in. Steady gaining tremendous momentum. There's nothing close to resembling. Check the emblem, it's a penguin, not a gremlin. Just letting you know you're on an infinite plane, it's never bending. We strike like temping, killing all fears and breaking the tension. Gotta know the hopes army, digging deep in the trenches. Come and join in, be adventurous. Quit being so sensitive, forget the censorship. We ain't telling fibs. Messing with the penguin. We're messing with the penguin. You're messing with the penguin. We're messing with the penguin. Messing with the penguin. You're messing with the penguin. Messing with the penguin.